hit go live. It says preparing to live stream the meeting.
It says it's being live streamed, and it gave me a little notice, so I'm hoping everything's good. Let me see. I can check. Uh-oh. Yep. Here we go. Cool.
Yep. All right, so, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, I got a very special guest. I have Mason from Cardinal Gaming. He's actually the first ever guest I'm going to have on this channel. So that
which I didn't know. That's crazy. That is crazy that I'm the first one.
Yeah.
But super happy to be talking with you, man. It's super awesome.
So it's very exciting, and just first off, I want to say thank you to you for not just coming on this channel, but thank you for everything you do for the community. You put out some
come on, this is
extremely entertaining content. So that's one thing.
When I can get away with it, I try to put out some entertaining stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. So I figured just in today's video, there's a lot going on in Pokemon right now, and the funny thing is there's always a lot going on. But I think you have a very special type of view because you're actually talking to distributors and stuff. So I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about the supplies right now of Pokemon on the market, just what you think about the overall market in general. But so I guess the first question I really want to ask you is, what did you think about this huge flood of product that we saw hit the market?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the big things I like to talk about on my channel is just things from distribution side. I just have access to, that kind of information and the knowledge of what's out there, what's available, how much product is going where, if prices are up, if prices are down. You say Booyah says the numbers. I'm always about the numbers. So yeah, it is an incredible thing to have been running this business for 4 years, putting along just like any game store would, and then you see this explosion, which just happened to be my favorite card game, of course. So got lucky on that. If it would have been like, something like Yu-Gi-Oh, God, we would have done terrible. But it was Pokemon, so it was awesome. So it's a lot of fun and a good time with that. But obviously, Pokemon, a huge company, and then for them to see such huge, crazy demand, and overnight, seemingly, when Logan Paul did his thing, it was a crazy time. Like Pokemon had been ramping up to that stage, especially with collecting, but modern was never super, super busy in that regard. No, it was only until after, that stuff blew up, and then obviously the voltage we heard was so a huge crunch and big spike in demand, and then it kind of got caught up into that kind of frenzy of just oh my God, there's no product. Oh, I better go get it. It became a self-fulfilling system where it just kind of fed into itself, and I think we still, in all these kinds of hype, frenzy, FOMO markets, it feeds upon itself. And there's no way to get out of that until obviously we saw what happened, last week, where the market and the supply finally caught up with where the market wanted to be. So
and definitely, like you said, I understand what you're saying. It almost feels like it happened overnight. Now, did you see it? Is there an exact moment where you're like, uh-oh, something crazy is happening right now, or something way different than the norm is happening? Was there that aha moment for you, or did it just kind of just roll in all right, 1 week was just busier than the next to the next to the next to the next thing you're like, I have no product, I can't order product, all the distributors have nothing, I can't even go back and pick up the most recent Sun and Moon sets, Cosmic Eclipse, can't get it,
right.
Celestial Storm, can't get it, Unbroken Bonds, can't get it, just or even going back as far as always having evolutions available if you really wanted it, and then even that being gone, and you look at the market and you say, okay, people want everything now, and I can't get anything. So was there that aha moment for you?
It's definitely, we got to a point where we saw, people wanted the latest and greatest. Obviously, let's see, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, Vivid Voltage was about ready to come out. Darkness Ablaze was a set before that. Obviously, people stonk on Charizard. Darkness Ablaze dried up, disappeared. Like, you went from, it was a hot set, sure, but then distribution didn't have it, and then Vivid Voltage was preparing to come out.
You had
And
Champion Path 2 in there too. So
right, yeah. So yeah, a lot of that was going on, and then it really did start with Champion's Path, where we were just like, okay, people are obviously a lot more people are buying this product than normal, than used to. Like, something has changed. Obviously, the supply, it's supposed to be kind of like a specialty set with Champions Pass, so there's always that kind of like a limited window, kind of short print kind of feel to it. But it wasn't until
And
you saw with the Vivid Voltage where you're just like, okay, this is a standard set, and on release there is nothing. Like, you can't order it anymore. And it wasn't until, because I did this when I talked about the wave printing in one of my recent videos, where Vivid Voltage, normally in a standard set, Pokemon will send to distributors the amount that they order to cover the initial amount of pre-orders that you get. And then that's how you get allocated product, is Pokemon basically picking and choosing where that product goes. And then after all that clears out, Pokemon will release another wave to distribution to kind of fill in the gaps and put out hotspots, or maybe where stuff wasn't being fulfilled before. Maybe there was just a huge demand in certain spots where maybe it wouldn't be so much somewhere else. So they have some in reserve. Well, Pokemon just threw all of their reserve on release of Vivid Voltage. And then you're just like, okay, we have no more product. What we had in reserve for a standard set is gone.
Yeah,
I
think a lot of it too, it fell into, yes, we had a ton of people enter the hobby. Like, it was that the influx we saw at end of 2020 was massive. And obviously the sets that Pokemon had released, they couldn't have planned for that in mind, right? So there's no way to say there's going to be a ton of demand. But when you break down the sets and you think about it for a newcomer coming into the hobby, like, what were the sets in November, October, December? What characters did they focus on? And like you said, Darkness Ablaze, we ran auto, but that had a Charizard chase card.
Sure.
Champion's Path had, still to this day, you can make the argument, one of the best ETB artworks out there. You have
for sure.
Charizard, you have a promo card with the Charizard V, you have your 2 chase cards being a Charizard. Then the set to follow that is Vivid Voltage, and your chase card is a Pikachu. Like, you can make the argument who's really the bigger fan favorite, whether it's Charizard or Pikachu. And yeah, people say Greninja and stuff like that. But when you talk about coming back to the hobby, who are the 2 Pokemon you talk about? Talk about Charizard, talk about Pikachu. So you had Charizard sets back to back. Then you had a Pikachu set. Then, with the Amazing Rares, and just, it's very rare to be able, like Vivid Voltage at release, when you think about opening packs, there was a ton of expected value at release opening that product.
Yeah, definitely.
Between the subset of Amazing Rares, when you had those cards selling for like $20 a pop, and you get 3 of them in a booster box. And this is talking at the time of release, you had like $60 there plus VMAXs and all this stuff. And the Pikachu, the hyper rare, selling for like $300. But then you still have the alternative art Pikachu, which, in my opinion, I think is actually the better card in the set, because I think it's very rare to see like a pink background for a card. So eye appealing wise, and especially for an alternative art type of card, that Pikachu being a tougher chase card, that card was selling at release for like over $100. It was just a crazy amount of expected value. So when you had this very initial wave of people come in, it was just a perfect storm of the way the sets were designed by Pokemon. And obviously they didn't mean for it to happen that way, but it worked out perfectly in their favor. I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
No, yeah, and obviously, you got to remember, again, we were 6 months into a pandemic where there are shortages building and existing. So, maybe the product levels weren't quite where they were supposed to be in the first place. And then obviously, I don't know how much multiplied demand turned into overnight. But obviously, you got to a point where you're just like, okay, this is a problem, and it's not going to be a problem that we can just flip a switch and fix. Like, you can't just max out these card printers and get this product out in a couple weeks. It takes a very long time to, from start to finish, produce this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
I think
we talk
people
about,
really underestimate how much this product ping pongs around. The place that prints the cards themselves isn't necessarily the places that package those items into like set boxes or ETBs and all the stuff, and they don't realize that stuff is packed by hands in a lot of cases, and things like code cards are all printed separately and by someone at a different station, and all that stuff has to come together and get mixed together. All these things take huge amounts of time, and you're talking about a company that they don't put out thousands of booster boxes. They put out hundreds of thousands at a time. They do, for standard sets, you could be looking at 2, 3, 4, who knows how many million booster boxes worth of products and packs.
And you posted one of the better videos that really showed like the actual printing process, and the video that you were able to show like from the actual printing facility. But the one scene I really remember from that video very vividly is them hand packing the ETBs and putting the packs in. And I'm sure you running a store for as long as you have, I'm sure you've gotten complaint calls from somebody saying like, this ETB is repacked or something because it doesn't have like one pack and it only has 7 packs instead of 10, and this thing was tampered with. And you're like, listen, welcome to 2020, 2021 of Pokemon quality control. And especially it just got worse too. You think about
Champion's Path with the Charizard promos and things like that for just missing out of the ETBs in some cases, and it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't fix that. That's not something I can fix.
To go right to Pokemon, and good luck with trying to explain that to one of your customers.
And I just had a phone call today of somebody that bought one of the Celebrations lunchbox tins and was missing half of his packs of Celebrations and of the standard stuff. So it's just like, man, I was like, I got products here I can send to you. He's a good customer, so we took care of him. But that is something that you got to take to Pokemon, and they should be able to correct that for you. That's not before packaging and before it even gets to my hands or my distributor's hands for that matter. So that's just what happens.
And it was crazy too, because we just experienced like this. It was like an avalanche of just set after set, like poor quality. Like Vivid Voltage was decent quality. Battle Styles was okay, but Shining Fates, all the silvering issues, I think you actually made a video talking about just how bad the silvering issues were on Shining Fates, especially like that very initial print run. Then Chill and Rain was one of the worst sets we've ever seen. Thank God there's a little bit of demand for like crazy miscut cards and stuff. Like that is a weird subset of this hobby, but there was just a period of time. But then now we rolled into Celebrations, and Celebrations really, well, one, I've talked about it in other videos. It's a fun set to open. Tons of like real nostalgic chase cards, but more importantly, the print quality for Celebrations for what we've seen so far is freaking awesome. Yeah, the metal cards have a lot of issues from like the Ultra Premium collections, but the actual cards in the main set, awesome. Like you almost forgot that Pokemon could actually print quality cards for a while.
Yeah, it's I know Celebrations has been really good. I think a lot of that has to do, and I speculate, of course, this is all just me going off experience. I don't know, anything.
Mason, you could speculate all you want. Like
that's right. I'm on somebody else's channel. That's right. I could talk out my ass all I want to.
Listen, people get so upset when you speculate or you put on your tinfoil hat and you just because one of the most fun things in this hobby is just brainstorming, right? Like what could possibly be going on?
Right. It's like when people speculate about Nintendo and Japanese companies in general that are not very personal, and they don't have a huge PR team that pumps their stuff for them. We were lucky to get the addressing the shortages from Pokemon.
The most cryptic tweet ever, though. Come on.
It means nothing. It has nothing, but for them to even put out something like that is very unlike Japanese companies.
Yeah,
normally it's just it is what it is.
When Pokemon sends that out,
Right. Yeah. So that's totally a weird thing to see. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So, we definitely like held off a little bit on this stream. We were supposed to go live about 45 minutes ago, but Jake was doing his, and I don't really want to talk about MetaZoo much at all, just
Oh
because
no. Oh.
this is a Pokemon channel. I don't know anything, but I figure like maybe we'll just spend like 5 or 10 minutes talking about it because, you're definitely going to give a very different side of it because from what I hear, it's pretty much sounds like LGSs are more or less being cut out. It's going to go straight to Walmart and stuff. But, I have my own personal opinion when it comes to MetaZoo. And I know a lot of people are stonking real hard on, I think, just MetaZoo to the moon. But the way, so the way I collect, the way I invest is I wouldn't collect Pokemon if I wasn't passionate about like the cards or the characters or like the actual pack open experience. And
Yeah.
everything that I've seen from MetaZoo, from the outside looking in, obviously not owning like a ton of Kickstarter boxes or whatever their new sets are, I don't see a lot of people like talking about this set from a nostalgic like pack opening experience. And when you think about like older Pokemon sets and what a lot of people got into Pokemon for, it was probably like for our age group called the 29 to 36. You had, base set, jungle, fossil, team rocket. You think about base set, you could probably say, well, there were 16 hollows in that set. Alakazam, Blastoise, Chansey, everyone knows number 4 Charizard, Clefairy, Gyarados, Hitmonchan, and then you had the 2-player starter deck Machamp. Like you can go through the list because you're nostalgic. And then yes, obviously number 14 is Raichu because that's the best card in the set, hands down. I don't care about the Charizard, but you think about it and you even like the cards that people don't like Magneton and the Nidoking, those cards are still very nostalgic for people. And you think about the Zapdos being one of the less popular cards in the set, and that was the introductory of like the legendary birds, like
Sure.
all around. And yeah, like the Ninetales and stuff and the Mewtwo, because those were in the starter decks, the Mewtwo being in the Zap deck and stuff, like those cards maybe don't get the huge nostalgic factor, but it still is a Mewtwo, whether it was in a Zap deck or not. So like the fact that we can talk about base set like that and name the chase cards and know how they were released, but then I haven't really talked to a lot of people about MetaZoo, but besides Mothman, like I don't know, you could probably right now, if you wanted, we don't have to because it would just be a huge video of 102 cards, but you could probably name all the commons and uncommons,
Sure.
You could
Yeah.
know that Beedrill was after the first, after Zapdos, then it was freaking Dragonair and all this stuff and go down. And Dugtrio and Electabuzz, you know what I'm saying? Like it's such a different nostalgic factor opposed to what I'm seeing people talk about MetaZoo as strictly a sealed product play. So that's just my personal opinion from the outside looking in.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, yeah, like you said, we could talk about MetaZoo forever, but it is very an interesting thing where somebody says, okay, I'm making a game and I'm basing it to look like what this other card game used to look like. Clearly, it's you're supposed to be thinking of another game when you're looking at this game. It's hard to put attachment when you're not. It's almost like if you put a dress on me and I'm just supposed to be, you're thinking, oh God, what's Mason? What's up with that? What are you doing? Nobody can see like what you're actually wanting to think about. It's something like, hey, this is supposed to be like old school Pokemon, and you're like, okay, cool, but like what else is there? What is this game otherwise? And you don't understand. Like, there's got to be more depth to it. Yeah, you can get that. That's a hook to get people into it, but it's just like, okay, if this was a really prevalent thing, and we will definitely see when Crypto Nation goes unlimited, and we'll see when you have, of course, Mike at MetaZoo has not talked about at all what the actual box count, a print run will be for the unlimited Cryptid Nation.
It's gonna be an imaginary number. That's why he doesn't want to. It's gonna scare away people. That's why.
Yeah. So that it is concerning to somebody that is going to pick this product up to sell it. Like, okay, if I get 6 cases of this, and then this automatically goes to the floor, I'm stuck with 6 cases of this MetaZoo that I will never be able to sell.
Yeah.
So him being so close to the chest where it used to play into his favor at this point, you're getting to too big of numbers where you can start hiding this stuff anymore. You got to be really putting that stuff out there because it's going to scare people like me that want to carry this stuff away. If I know that the main driving force behind this game has been how rare and exclusive it's been.
I know.
And then
you gotta think too. We live in this Pokemon TCG bubble that is just like, you call it like our lives in a way because of how big just Pokemon is. And for you, I know you have to deal with all TCGs, but for me, it's mainly Pokemon. But when you start to go outside of our bubble or our little sphere in this YouTube channel, and you look at, just who's commenting right now, like they're probably in a lot of these different channels. So when you start to go to the outside world and you try to, pump up MetaZoo to somebody who's never heard of it before, and there's just some random packs on the shelf of Walmart, I think that's going to be a tough sell. I think we get blinded sometimes by the world we live in and the community we live in. And we forget about the bigger picture where Pokemon is a much easier sell. One,
sure,
there's a nostalgic factor to that, and you can't equate price to nostalgic, but I think it is just going to be a tough sell outside of our bubble.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting test of how the unlimited run for Cryptid Nation goes when you have 4 times what, potentially even more than 4 times of what Nightfall had printing on release. We'll see how the market absorbs that and what the prices do, because again, accessibility is great, but even for people that want to play the game, you want the cards to have some sort of value. You can't just have dirt cheap cards and people play this game with things that have no value, because people will then feel like they're throwing the money away.
And especially, like I said, when they're doing it just as a sealed product play and they don't even care about the cards,
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I don't know much about the fourth wall mechanic, but I figure, at least we would touch base a little bit because I know a lot of the people came from Jake's channel just now, so it's fresh in their minds. But I do want to show you one thing that I actually picked up today that is not MetaZoo, but it's a very nostalgic thing. So
okay, all right.
I want you to tell me if you even knew these existed. So at my local Walmart, we have our card section in the front where they keep the Pokemon, the Magic, but lately Magic has just engulfed the shelves so much that the Pokemon cards has actually made it back into the toy section. So as I went back there, literally today, the day recording this video, I saw hanging on the shelf these. And I got super, super nostalgic about it. I didn't even know these exist right now.
Okay.
These are the original OG Ninja Turtles from this was my toy growing up. I played with 2 things. I played with Ninja Turtles and I played with G.I. Joes. And I saw this and the nostalgic factor just hit me tenfold. Did you even know these exist?
That's a new product, right? I mean, that's in
20,
Walmart right now.
Yeah, 2021. I couldn't believe it. It's the OG Ninja Turtles, the original 1988 figures, the ones we played with as a kid. I was just nostalgic overload.
I was a Power Rangers guy growing up, so I had a lot of Power Ranger stuff. So
yeah, I was a big Power Rangers guy too.
So all those little the little thing where you press down on the belt and it flipped the head over with the helmet. Yep. Everybody that is this age had stuff like that. That figure.
And not only that, Mason, everybody had a crush on Kimberly, the Pink Ranger. That was probably most people's first crush.
Yeah, of course.
And then I remember watching the show and when the Green Ranger was evil and he turned good, and Rita Repulsa and all those people. Yeah, it was all about Power Rangers.
Yeah. All that stuff is, I mean, that product exists in that type of looking packaging is obviously, it's not meant for, I mean, it is meant for kids today, obviously it is, but
it's only $13.
Yeah, and it's super cheap, and it's just a throwback. And you're just like, man, I remember
But
this.
when I picked that up on the shelf just as a whim though, right? Like I just walked in, I was
Sure.
looking for Pokemon cards and I see Ninja Turtles on the shelf, but it's that nostalgic factor also. And Pokemon has that. Like, at least for me, like Pokemon has that nostalgic factor. So I just don't see that as any sort of nostalgic factor for MetaZoo. And I think people are really, for the big people that are pumping up MetaZoo, they're really clinging on hard to the everybody loves cryptid kind of thing. And I don't think cryptids are really as big. Like, I mean, how predictable is it? Like, yeah, I guess one set's going to have a Loch Ness monster. That's going to be like the big chase card one day. But
Yeah,
is
maybe. Yeah.
that just like the thing? I don't think it's as strong as everybody thinks it is. And that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people are stonking out on MetaZoo hard. So
Well, right. I mean, again, like I said, the old, when you focus so hard on nostalgia and people remembering that, you know, you got to really pull something to keep people with it, or else that's all you got. There's nothing else to it.
yeah.
Like, and nostalgia only gets you so far, and it gets you so far. And when you go to the next set and the next set and the next set, if there's no substance there, if there's no progression, if there's nothing else to grab people on, and keep them buying, that's how. And I've seen a lot of card games come and go in the 5-6 years I've been in business.
Yeah,
So
and even like card days come and go, and you think about like there's a lot of big IPs that weren't able
yeah,
to segue it in. I mean, I remember like collecting some of the Star Wars cards that came out in like 2017, like some of those,
yeah,
like the 101s and the sign cards, and they had like Prism cards in there, but things like that didn't really pick up. But because this is a Pokemon channel, I would like to try to segue it back. But you know, so obviously right now we have Fusion Strike, which is out. Mew set. It does have that the Umbreon they brought back, or not the Umbreon, the Espeon
yeah.
that they
Mhm.
brought back. And like, where do you see Pokemon going from here on out? Because from the sense I'm getting for a lot of people in the community, there is like a little bit of uncertainty going further. And I think a lot of that uncertainty from people is a lot to do with price, which I talked about it in my other lives. I don't understand how people can have uncertainty at lower prices, but they're willing to spend crazy high prices. But once prices retrace, then people start getting cold feet and they start questioning everything.
Yeah, I mean, when there's not an economic factor to it, you really start to weed out the people that are in it for the money and the people that just are actually genuinely interested in collecting and playing the game, or filling out binders, stuff like that. And the honest truth of it is that you know sealed products, sealed boxes, to somebody that's like me, that's a commodity.
Yeah.
What comes out of those things is what I sell and make money off of. I don't make money off booster boxes, booster packs. Like,
Yeah.
that's not that's not how these games are even built. Like, people buy the packs, they collect the cards, or they play with the cards, and then they trade those cards in to a store like mine, or a TCG Player, eBay, whatever you want to do, so you can kind of sustain yourself in the hobby a little bit while you get the enjoyment that you want, whether it's collecting or playing or whatever.
Oh, I've said that to people a million times. I never could understand how when you talk about Pokemon as being like some sort of investable asset or whatever you want to call it, like there's always some people out there who are always anti that. And I've always even like actually I've always struggled with people who are just totally against that, and how almost as if Pokemon cards should not be valuable in some sense. And I always wondered, the question is, how the heck were you able to grow your collection without ever selling cards? Like,
Yeah.
did you literally only ever acquire stuff and never sell? And how would that even be like logistically a possibility? Unless, again, you're just a crazy millionaire, but you shouldn't be invested in Pokemon if you just have a make-believe imaginary never-ending bank account either.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing to think about is that Pokemon is building this stuff from a blueprint that they've had in mind for a year. Magic plans sets in advance several years in advance. So all this stuff was already in the pipes when this all took off. Like
Yeah.
this is all stuff that they had designed and planned. Maybe they tweaked things out, and I still say Shining Fates was kind of an anomaly that maybe shouldn't have actually existed, but that's tinfoil hat stuff that, you know, we can talk about if you want to, but we can go that far back or pick that out. But, you know, as far as like the standard set, standard build out, what they have and what they've been building up to this point, it's been planned for a while, guys. This is not like they're, when you think about this long term, Pokemon is building this for the long term and for, you know, this designed purpose, which is to play a game with. And, you know, collectors are going to come and go, and people that want to, you know, buy up stuff like, you know, like the Marnie milk cartons and that kind of stuff, and maybe collect, you know, the more rare stuff. Ultra premium collections, I think, was definitely, you know, we maybe wouldn't have even have seen that product if the hype wasn't what it was been. So then, you know, that may be a thing that would have been just Japan only, you know, in a typical market, you know. So that kind of stuff is.
Think, well, the crazy things we saw with just trainer cards in general, like maybe the Marnie just never would have became as hot as it was either.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
The prices in Japan were crazy for that card for the Japanese versions, but it's amazing how quickly the market has done like multiple things. It's changed real quick. Like we saw demand start to go to a lot of different type of cards that we haven't seen in the past, but now we're seeing the demand almost reverse back. And it is an amazing thing because you can say that Pokemon is much more cut and dry than a lot of people act like it is. I think there is the strong foundation of all the sets of the chase cards of you can look at a set very easily before release and quickly identify what cards you think are going to be hot from a collectability investability standpoint. Yeah, from a TCG aspect, from the playability, yeah, there's some tweaking for, you know, the trainers or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like for the bulk of the cards, you're quickly able to identify, and that's just based off of the history of the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, knowing the history and what, and I even say, you know, you gotta have a found knowledge if you want to like play the short game of like making money in like a TCG and not like in normal conditions. You got to know what TCGs, what makes them tick. Like, what's the point of like these cards and what roles these play? And you know, if you saw and you didn't know anything about the game, why the hell did they make a gold Flaffy card? Like, people don't understand how playable that card is. They're like, Flaffy, nobody likes Flaffy. What? That's so random.
Yeah.
But you know, if you understand the game, that, and if Pokemon wanted to sell booster packs, they're gonna make a good playable card, a chase card. That makes sense. Like that's how TCGs work.
Yeah, or even if you looked at or pretty much all celebrations, if you looked at the gold stars, you could have said, well, why are gold stars even important? Because if you weren't around for that entire era, which I would say a large majority of the people currently re-entering the hobby, more likely than not, were not around in that era, because that was probably like the beginning to end of your high school career, plus the beginning of your college career was within that, you know, 2004 to 2007 timeline, you know? So assuming you don't even know the history of gold stars, yeah, you could even ask that question. And like, why do people get, you know, excited about gold stars? And
I mean, you could look at the entire half of the classic collection and celebrations of like,
yeah,
why is this baby Cleffa? What is that? Who cares about that card? Like, what is this?
Well, yeah, why do I care about a Neo Genesis card? But
right,
you know,
that's the beauty of like celebrations, and like when you look back, and when we look back at celebrations in 5 years, I think we will appreciate it even more so, just because of how truly what a lens it's looking through of like the longevity and like the history of Pokemon, the TCG. You know, having like a Rockets admin in there, which is like, who would have thought that would have ever been like a reprinted official card?
Yeah,
because of the legacy of that card. It's insane. It's astounding to me as somebody that knows the playability side, why that's important, and that why in the future, and this is important for people to think about too. I was actually gonna make a video on this, but I'll spill the beans. It's all good. That the playability stuff of of cards today could very well influence the prices of these things 5-10 years from now, because obviously things that are heavily played, heavily sought after and used in decks are going to be more scuffed up, they're going to be bent, they're going to be shuffled, they're going to be handled very heavily. And those kind of things, if if they have the good fundamentals of being a good collectible or a well-liked Pokemon and combine that with playability, well, bam, you make a perfect storm of a card that will have lots of value long term, and down the road will have good collectability.
Yeah, it's you almost got to ask yourself the question, like, off that, will there be another celebrations type product, 10, 15 years from now, and there's a bunch of cards from, the spike of Pokemon. And I'm always been very curious about, like, given enough time as we finally move out of the Sword and Shield block, and we got about a year left as Sword and Shield sets, but as we move out of this and we move out of the hype eventually, I wonder how we're going to look back on this era. If we're going to look back on it, and I've talked about in other videos that I've made where I wonder if we'll look back on it and not realize like how amazing and how awesome of a time it really was, and that maybe we didn't enjoy it enough. We were too caught up in the day to day, and it's like that famous saying, like, days go by slow, but years go by fast.
Sure.
And I think we're going to look back on like 2020, 2021, and we're going to go, man, there was a lot of opportunity there. And not only was a lot of opportunity, like it was freaking fun, like if, and I said this before, like, take away the investment. If you guys aren't having fun right now with the hype that is Pokemon, with the enthusiasm that's just in the hobby, with people that want to talk about it, like, being able to have a conversation like me and you, if people aren't having fun right now, they will never have fun in Pokemon. They will never have fun if they're not having fun right now.
Yeah, I think Pokemon right now is doing the best job that I've ever seen them do, as far as the cards appeal, collectability, how they look. The fan service is off the charts. Like, this is from a company that never would have even considered what we thought or even cared what we thought, and you can say whether or not alt arts in Cosmic Eclipse kind of kicked this off, where they're like, oh, people like these, oh well, then I guess a couple of sets later we'll have an artist make an alt art of something, and that's how we got the thing in battle styles and stuff like that. It's interesting to think, like, the little influences like that
I knew
kind
you
of
were
kicked
going to
off.
say that. I knew you were going to say that. So
I know you
brought
love
out
Cosmic Eclipse too. I know you love him, so and I do too. I do. Up until Evolving Skies, I thought it was probably the best set in a couple years. So
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just the way that tastes have changed, and people in this past year, you took what people have been in the hobby for forever, and then you throw all these new people into it, and like, okay, what are these people clinging to? What do they like? And then, maybe Pokemon's taking cues off that to have a broader appeal. Maybe they are, and that's made the whole hobby as a whole, self more healthy, and maybe progressed a little bit because Pokemon got a better feel of what people liked and what they didn't like. It's an interesting thing to think about. And again, looking back, how we'll feel about this era. Maybe people will be nostalgic for this time. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's definitely like, well, first off, Pokemon is cross-generational at this point. And
Definitely.
I feel like some people try to make the argument that it's not. Like kids, I've heard people literally make the argument, or at least try to say, that kids aren't collecting Pokemon cards right now, and all the prices being driven up by, a bunch of adults. And I'm like, no, that's not the case at all. Like, there are a lot of kids out there that love to open up packs. And yeah, are we super nostalgic because of base set, because it had, the first appearance, and the way we are introduced to a lot of these characters between like the big three, like Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, and the first Pikachu, like, but will the younger generation of today look back on, maybe a Battle Styles, because that was the set they actually were able to open, because their parents were able to actually pick up Battle Styles relatively easy compared to every other set for a cheaper price. maybe those will be the sets. And, you know, when they talk about like Score Bunny, they're going to get excited the same way people get excited about Charmander. Or when somebody says Sobble, it's going to be the same way as people get excited about Squirtle. Like, you know, for us, we look at these as the 8th generation Pokemon, and we're just like, oh no, a whole nother, you know, grouping of Pokemon that I now have to try to remember the names of. But for these kids, they're going to be playing the games, they're going to be collecting the cards, and who's to say that in 20 years from now, they don't look back on this set and say, I don't care so much about base set. Yeah, like that was fun because my dad got excited about base set, but I don't care about that.
So it's opinion time. I'm going to say my opinion, and
yep.
I would love to see what your thoughts are and just your take. I think people severely underestimate the true frenzy of people wanting to open packs have been in the past year.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of talk of people talking about, oh, Pokemon Center got botted and that's why we can't get our hands on stuff, or you know, I can't go to a Target and Walmart and find stuff because the scalpers bought it all. And it's I think people would be very surprised at the actual percentage of this product that is actually genuinely being opened and actually is going to end consumers that just want to open a product and just want to collect the cards and are genuinely interested and remember have the nostalgia for wanting to open packs, and they just want to open some packs. And
Yeah.
and I'd be, to throw out a percentage, I think you know, some of these modern sets we could be looking at like 70% of the product that was released potentially has been opened up.
You know,
And I think people really overestimate people that are sitting on this kind of product. I just don't think it's a realistic thing. I really don't. I know that there are people out there that probably have basements full of this stuff. Absolutely. But again, you're talking about a product that has millions of packs per set. You know, it's when you think about that, yes, and obviously that's a huge number as well, and it's going to be sustainable. And the people that have squirreled it away is going to be affecting the prices for this stuff and how we see this product. But I think a lot of this stuff has been genuinely true organic, just like I want to open some packs, and I see it. People come to my store. People aren't buying stuff from my store to sit on and think it's a good investment, sealed product wise. They just want to open some packs, you know, and enjoy it. And you know, I think that's something that is kind of missed out. And again, I don't deny the fact that there's probably people sitting on some of the stuff and putting it away and sitting it, you know, putting it in the closet somewhere. And somebody just brought up the ultra premium collections. I think you'd be surprised at the amount of people that are opening this product. Ultra premium collection, probably, yeah, sure, but that is something that's meant to be a collectible, so and a sealed product. So I think people would be surprised how much of the stuff is being opened.
So my opinion when it comes to that is I think it's like you said, it is a combination of both. You definitely have the sealed product collector, you have the raw card collector, you have the graded card collector. But if you know, if your argument was correct, which I think it has a lot of merit to it, that people are opening products, I think the big, like, here's an example of what I mean or what you mean is if I can't go into Walmart right now and see all the battle styles sitting on the shelves, if I can't go in and get a 3-pack blister with the Jolteon promo, and I can't pick up a Battle Styles ETB, or I can't pick up Battle Styles single pack blisters because they're not sitting on the shelves for a week at a time, that is not the scalpers. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
The scalpers are not the ones going in buying up the Battle Styles ETBs. Like, that has to be some sort of like opening experience for people. And is it possible that people bought some Battle Styles and have sealed ETBs? Of course. Sealed booster boxes, of course. But I mean, I'm sure you've already seen like the downturn on how much people are probably picking up Battle Styles opposed to the other sets just at your store.
Sure.
But to still see buying pressure of that stuff, people aren't probably buying single, you know, check lane blisters as investments, you know, like that has to be to some point an actual organic pack opening experience for a lot of people just enjoying cards.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, as somebody that sees this firsthand, it is a lot of parents with kids. It is a lot of people that are doing this together as a family, and it's awesome to see. And say what you want about me being an evil LGS, and
Come
but
on, stop.
I opened this business not to sit on sealed product and sell to put stuff in a basement. I want to see people open packs. I want to run events. I want to see pre-releases. I want to see people having fun. That's why I'm here. That's why I exist.
Yeah.
So
And
it's I think a lot of people want to see the evil side of the stuff and think it's totally I think it's totally overblown. Of just people just love Pokemon. Clearly people just love Pokemon. And this last year, regardless of whatever your experience was, it's been a hell of a thing to see.
yeah. And like to talk, I don't think like it's anything like you're the evil, seller or anything. I think a lot of it from like a lot of people's sides, or at least like the opinion side I could give from it, was just seeing potential like detrimental habits that some people were doing.
Sure.
When you see people picking up booster boxes at like crazy high prices, or people picking up like the pop one, Charizard graded card from PSA because it's a pop one, and that the market in that card population is just going to explode. Like when you sit back, and I think that's where I come from more, is when you see those very dangerous habits from some people, it like you almost feel like a sense of almost moral obligation in a weird way, which you shouldn't feel that way. Like everybody's money is their own money to spend, and like you shouldn't have a say in that. But I feel like from my point of view, it's just seeing some people who maybe didn't know any better and trying to do whatever you could to like maybe educate them a little bit, or at least give them a little bit of hope. Because I feel like a lot of people who were spending real high dollar amounts, it was a lot of that FOMO. And it was almost like they didn't have any hope, as in, nope, if I don't buy this booster box of Vivid Voltage at $200, like I'll never get a chance. And it was, for me, and I'm sure for you, and I'm sure for most of the people watching this video, to hear somebody say that, you think to yourself like, no, man, you're gonna have a chance. Like, take a breath. I think that's where a lot of that came from.
Yeah, the whole 2-year and standard stuff. Again, if you educating, and that's why I started my channel to educate people, because I saw this happening, and I have made obvious mistakes along the way, and maybe not been as clear and phrasing things as properly as I should have. I think my content now is a lot more tempered in that regard, and not just because of the flack that I've gotten, but just in the sense that for the health and longevity of this, for the people to stay that maybe had bad experiences, I don't want them to think that they got fleeced, or that this is somehow was all a trick of some kind, and that if we educate each other and use things that have always been the case as at least some sort of barometer to what could potentially happen in the future. It's important to talk about these things and bring up what Pokemon has done in the past to dictate what they've done in the future. And again, I'm trying to, from my perspective, I am aware that I have, not a huge channel, but it's a pretty good size, and I do get thousands of views video, and I play a role in how the health of this hobby is, and that I have an obligation to temper when things are going a little crazy, and maybe celebrate the things that are fun. And why, like when I took my kids to play at an LGS, like the kind of good times that we had together, and you can do both and still make money off this, and it's okay. It's not all nefarious. It's not all somebody being evil and trying to drive people to be irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it is a balance. It's something that I think about in every video. And I've definitely made videos where I just deleted them immediately and remade a video because of the way I maybe said something, and or maybe I could see where something could be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
So it's nobody is going to be a perfect YouTuber their first year into making content. Sorry.
no,
But you know,
there's always a learning curve for anything like this, you know, and especially, you know, people forget too that what, you know, me and you are doing right now, this is more of a dialogue, but when
Yeah.
you're behind the camera, you know, sometimes you'll be literally talking to a camera for sometimes an hour. And
sure.
people don't realize that in order to just keep constant dialogue, like you just start to sometimes say stuff and you go off on like crazy tangents, and sometimes it's actually hard to pull yourself back from that kind of stuff, and then you go, wait, what was I even talking about, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of my videos I record before you know, I started showing my face, as you know, more and more as I was doing it more as recordings. I would cut out like 25-minute clips where I would go back to process my video and listen and add memes. And I would listen to me just ramble for 20 minutes about like one Pikachu common card from like a diamond and pearl set that I liked. And I went, no one's going to want to listen to this, you know, like, but then I'll also like talk about just crazy things, and people don't realize that when you're constantly talking and you're trying to fill a 20-minute video, it's so easy to take one sentence or one thing you say and take it completely out of context and just run with that one thing.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't want people to think like, hey, I make mistakes, I'm infallible, don't call me out. That is not the thing I want to put out there. Like, you can say and disagree with somebody without like making a hate video and like going on a rant for 40 minutes about this one little comment that was said. You know, we're all better than that. We're smarter than that. Like, we are obviously we're not doing pack openings where we're looking at, oh, look how cute this Jigglypuff is. I love this. This is so cute. Like, we can, this is a more higher level of thinking and topics and concepts that we're trying to put out there. So let's not
there's a
beat each
reason
other
why
up.
we'll never have 100,000 plus subscribers, because we're not doing that. Like,
Sure.
the people that are listening to our content are hopefully taking something out of it, or they're listening to it because I've talked about it before. They've already gone deep down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like, there is the Pokemon YouTube content creating sphere, and then there's like more art type of channels. You don't just scroll onto YouTube one day out of the blue and our videos start getting recommended to people, you know?
No.
It takes a little bit of deep dives and stuff. And
I remember that video you did when you were talking about, like, I was like, how did you even get here? Like, how did you even find me? Like, what? It was hilarious. I loved it. And I think you making all those memes and doing all that stuff is severely, as somebody that knows how long and how much effort goes into editing a half-an-hour video, you don't get enough credit for putting all that in there. So kudos to you for that.
The funny thing is, with the exception of YouTube Lives, I have never like made a video on a computer. Every single video I had ever made up to this point was all done through iMovie on my iPhone, which a lot of people don't realize. That it was me in bed at like 10 o'clock at night before bed, just, you know, editing videos. But
that's fantastic. Oh my goodness, that's great.
And it all like, and I don't, so I would like to hear a little bit more about your thought process. And so obviously you have a store, so that's like the biggest duh.
If people don't know that, hey, I own LGS. I do.
Yeah, so the biggest duh statement ever. But what was so I guess this is a two-part question. So what was like the driving factor where you said, you know what, I'm actually going to start making some legit Pokemon content. You know, I know when I joined your channel, I've been around your channel for a long time. I want to say you had like 400 subscribers when I joined, and I always keep my actual YouTube name very private, and like no one knows my Discord names or anything. Like, I try to keep that separate because I don't want like any sort of like preconceptions of who I am Like, I just want Poke knowledge cards to be very separate from everything else.
It's
And I think
interesting.
that
Okay.
I think that is very important that people forget. People look, they're like, oh, your channel's only been around since November 2020. Like, oh, you must be brand new to the hobby. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a reason why you don't know my E4 name. Like, you know,
Sure.
it's
Yeah. I mean,
not like like I'll tell you right now, I am in your Discord. I'm in your Discord. You don't even
I
know.
guarantee it. I guarantee
Yeah.
it.
Like, but I could see when people, but
Like you
anyways,
don't make a channel like ours if you're not like ear to the ground, like in all this stuff. Like
oh, no.
you like, how do you think I glean all this information? Like, or even like get a sense of like how the market is or what's happening. Like you have to be very astute, very obviously aware of what's going on,
Yeah, you
and
gotta be
talk
a
to a lot of
sponge.
people. And you gotta, yes, exactly. You have to have all these shared opinions to get this information and kind of get this stuff. You got to listen to SM Pratt's and your Twice Baked Jakes. You got to get all that stuff in between that.
And you gotta
Those
watch
are very,
Wizard Park.
those are very in between, you know, and you know, all this stuff is, it develops an idea of how the overall market and what your customers, for me, are wanting to see and what they're looking to buy. It's this is all very important for what I do as a business.
Oh yeah.
And even again, you don't make this kind of content. You don't make content like yourself, where if you don't have a genuine passion and a genuine interest and a genuine solid knowledge of how this stuff works.
So my two-part question for you is, what was like the deciding factor for you? Because for me,
Sure.
for the channel, it was the pandemic and just I was bored. But for you, like what was the driving factor where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna start really, because when you think about what you're doing too as a small business owner, as an LGS owner, like this is a extremely great advertising tool for you. And
Sure.
so what made you decide to start making videos? And then second question is, like, what type of traffic have you seen because of your YouTube channel? Has it been an explosive growth? And obviously Pokemon 2020 being an explosive time, did you see a lot of that being from the YouTube channel itself?
No, yeah. I've always been a big fan of Rudy. And I know you talk about Rudy too. So you obviously, are you a fan or watch?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So
I mean, I made an entire video where I broke down the actual dollar amount of Rudy's bathroom.
no, yeah, I remember that now. And I know you do talk about him. I just don't know, you know, if you just watch certain things or whatever. But you know, I saw the content that he's doing about with Magic, and I'm like, man, he's talking about stuff that just you don't hear about anybody else talk about. There's just that information just isn't out there. So obviously, like when the constraints and stuff were happening with Pokemon and distribution and product was just disappearing, and people just didn't have the knowledge of like how that worked. And you know, I used to love. Have you? I don't know if you've watched. Do you watch like Darium? Are you familiar with Darium Pokemon?
I'm familiar. Like I'm just not like super familiar with the channel though. No.
So Darian, before he does like pack breaks on Twitch now, and he does YouTube stuff where he does product openings too. But before that, and the before times, he was mainly Magic focused, and he did stuff like they called them card shop lives, where just like a vlog style of stuff where he just talked about what was going on in his store, and like he made like videos of like, hey, if you want to open an LGS, like what do you do, like what, like, and is again talked about distributors and how to get with them and what kind of product work and what the even hell was an allocation and what that meant. You know, those kind of guys were like the breakthrough. And I was like, man, there's just not somebody that does that for Pokemon. So that's kind of like where, you know, there's a huge drive, and it's like, man, I'm watching all this stuff. I'm watching all the, all these channels talk about stuff, and they're just saying stuff that's just is genuinely wrong. Like there's just not good information. Like there's just people that just don't know what they're talking about distribution and you know, all this product and what's coming and and it's like they have no idea what it's really like out here.
Oh,
And like
I know
what a weird phenomenon
you're famous for going after PTC Geo radio. Like he does a lot of the, he's fun. He's fun to watch. Some of his videos take a while to get to the point, but he talked about some of the things like, what was it? Legendary collection or not legend? Sorry, not legendary collection. What booster box did he say? Shining Legends. I don't know why I said legendary collection. Shining Legends.
Yeah.
He talked about the reprint of those booster boxes, and you like more or less ripped them apart.
Oh,
in a video. Like,
yeah.
listen,
Okay.
this is not happening. Like,
Okay. I want to just say, I love PCCG Radio.
oh, I love him.
I've listened to him for. I listened to him for
I'm not trying to
years.
throw shade at somebody. No.
And I love him as a content creator. I love him as a commenter on, like, he commented, like, worlds and high level events. And I followed his when he actually had like a podcast and listened to it on my car in and out. And when he talked about, because that's basically what his channel was from the get go, was like game mechanics, new cards that were coming out, deck build, stuff like that.
He did a lot of gameplay, yeah, big time.
Yeah, huge. And obviously, when there's not that's going on, he's got to make content somehow. So he's got to, talk about just things coming out and whatever. And he says a lot of good stuff, a lot of good information. Taught business, so obviously he has a good background in that. But again, there's just so little knowledge about how distribution and hobby distribution in general works. I'm working on again, this is like groundbreaking stuff. I'm going to spill beans again. I'm working on like more of like the operations and day-to-day stuff that game stores do, and like tips and stuff that you want to do, like if you're going to like sell and buy cards. I'm going to do a little series, and it's going to be cool. But again, information that it's not out there. Like nobody's talking about this stuff, and like that's kind of stuff that I get excited about and I want to talk about. And I know I haven't even touched your second part of your question, but like it's just I have a very unique perspective, and I want to share it because I'm passionate to share it. And people want it's stuff that people should know, and it's helpful to know, and they can make smarter decisions if they know. So that's why I made a channel. That's why I talked about, like, my first videos was I made it like a series, like it's called Lessons from a Shop Owner, and I talked about I thought really cool, interesting deep dives. And I've had people even talk about like, hey, those first videos you made were like groundbreaking because of like what you talked about. So, so yeah, man, I mean, that's where the heart and the true essence of like what my channel wants to be. And I don't want to make like set evaluations. I don't want to do that crap that everybody else talks about. I don't care. Like I don't care. That's not what I want to put out there. Yeah. I want to put out stuff that nobody else is putting out. And I want to talk about things that maybe it is a hot take, or maybe it is like, something that's unique. And maybe I yell that nobody understands this, and it's complicated, and it's multi-layered, and it's not one-dimensional when you watch other channels. It's just, it's, I don't know. I try to put out information so we can all be better consumers of this stuff. I think it's important.
No,
so that's extremely long-winded. I don't even remember your second part of your question. So can you please?
Question. And then the second part was just, no, that was a great answer. Like, I think we're all very lucky to be listening to this. But the second part was just like, because of your channel, did you see a lot of, virtual foot traffic to your store? And obviously being an advertising platform, are you very happy with like all the decisions you've made? Because it appears from the outside looking in, and again, it's from the outside looking in, that you've been very successful, like just with this platform and driving traction to your store.
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't name this some weird. My channel is not some weird random dude talk about Pokemon. It's the name of my business.
That would have been a great name.
Random dude that talks about Pokemon? Yeah, probably. I would follow that channel.
I would too.
But, obviously, yeah, it is a form of advertising, and it's a way to get, business and have people funnel into my channel. And yeah, I've had a lot of success, and a lot of people that want to support me come and buy singles. And some of my best customers in the past year that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars with me have come from me because of the channel. And why not? Like YouTube is a great way to put that information out there and put your name out there. And, you know, the fact that I have content that I was able to put out there and, you know, in the time of, hey, if you want Pokemon stuff, hey, I also happen to sell that. How convenient, you know, it's not like an accident, but, you know, obviously I have made big, glaring mistakes. If you go back and like watch like the early parts of my channel, the Shining Fates pre-order thing, that was a huge a mess up. I don't want to cuss. Am I okay to cuss? I don't remember if you cuss on your channel.
Fucking do whatever you want.
All right. It was a huge fuck up where I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna put out a video and then immediately put up all my Shining Fates pre-orders. Like, and then when I sold out in like half an hour, I was like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, this obviously isn't gonna look good at all. So
Yeah.
it wasn't till that point I was like, man, I got a lot of power here. Like, this is a lot of like, I don't know what I'm dealing with this
Yeah.
kind of frenzy.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
the backlash was and it is totally warranted for that situation. And I obviously, looking back at it, I would have totally done things differently.
Yeah. It is kind of amazing that like even I've created buyouts like inadvertently, trying not
Sure,
to,
sure.
not to. And you could if you, it is like amazing that you can do like I don't know, a lot of good and bad. So I got a couple business questions for you because you
Sure,
run.
yeah.
The first thing is I looked at your website just before I came on to do the live. I was like, I just want to see like what kind of product you have, and I think your Fusion Strike prices are actually like very competitive at the 114 and change. But I didn't notice. Is there a reason why you don't offer a lot of bundle deals? I feel like you could save a lot of money on shipping and pass that off to your customer too, or you like
You mean
I
if
didn't
I
see.
did like something like Pokénav does with PokeRealm and shovel product like that?
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Oh,
talking
oh,
like
okay. We don't have to. Okay.
uh,
Um, no. I just, if I wanted to like fully take like this frenzy to my advantage, yeah, I could have cases up there and just slap a label on a case and sell, 10 ETBs at a reduced price, and yeah, slap labels and get them out there. But I'm not in any hurry to move this product. I'm not in any hurry to grow my allocation numbers. I am at a comfortable place where I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to get enough product for the next wave of Pokemon. You know, if that was my goal and just shoveling product, I would have done it. Like, and like so many other channels out there that, maybe are riding the wave of hype and want to push product and just get it out there as fast as possible. Yeah, I could probably have done it. But again, I'm in no hurry to move this stuff. I have 2 years on all this sealed product before it goes bad.
yeah.
I'm in a good place. And yes, obviously the channel has been huge for me, and I've grown my user base from beyond my little podunk Kentucky home here. But I have hope that along the way that we provided value and let people had a good experience, and by the amount of people that continue to buy from me just because maybe I'm not the cheapest or that I'm not, the most I don't know, like entertaining and wild personality. It's like that's the kind of stuff and the type of customers that I want. That's how I want to organically grow my business. And that's not
Or
I'm not just here for the past year. I'm gonna be here for
organic
the next
growth
10,
is the key.
you know? So yeah. I don't know if that
And then
fully answered your question, but
yeah,
that's
well, then the second question too is we talked about Rudy a little bit, and because you are a business, I feel like this is a question to ask you, especially that you have your platform. So obviously, Rudy through his Patreon does his box broken thing or box break-in on his channel. Now, have you ever thought about offering something like that where somebody could buy a booster box and you crack it open for them, then obviously just send them all the cards after the fact? Because you know, you see a lot of people do that, but again, we've already discussed it, that you're not trying to just be like a set list type channel, but
Well,
you
I mean,
still do show, you know, box breaks and stuff. Have you ever thought about just doing like one of the crazy Rudy type videos where you're just burning through a box and just, you know, doing the commentary through it?
I guess I just have the old mindset where if somebody buys product from me, they probably want to open it themselves and have that experience. That's part of it.
Yeah.
So, and I did do box openings for one of the sets. I don't remember what it was. It may have been Battle Styles. Which, looking back,
Were
why
you
the hell did I
there
do Battle
for
Styles?
customers or listeners?
Yeah, then they would buy it from the website that said it'd be open on the live, you know, and do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just again, as a game store, that's the experience that I'm selling. I'm not selling the end product for stonks.
Yeah.
You know, again, opening packs is part of the experience. Like, as a reward for playing in events, you get packs, not because you get stuff for free. It's just because it's freaking fun to open, and
Yeah.
that's part of collecting and having fun. Is that part and that experience?
So let me put you on the spot here, because we didn't
Please.
like go over any questions or anything.
No, you haven't even grilled me very heavily, and I'm kind of just
No,
thankful.
I just give you $5,000 right now. And
Sure.
the one condition is you literally just have to buy Pokemon cards as a collector, not somebody who's like in the position with you with, you know, distributor agreements or anything. You have to buy on the market, however it is. I give you $5,000. How are you spending? Are you going after vintage, semi-vintage, modern? $5,000. How do you do it?
I gotta follow up. I gotta get clarification here. Am I buying it for like stonks
Investability.
purposes or just fun?
Investability, yep, investability.
Oh my god. Okay, I think, and
You're on
I've
the
talked
spot.
about this. No, I have an answer. I'm not even
Okay.
scared. I love the stained glass bird promo. I think that card is criminally undervalued,
There's a lot of
especially in a
them,
sealed
man.
condition. I think it's like $10 or $12, something ridiculous.
It might even be less than that. But
In 5 years, I think that card can't not go up. I think it's just an incredible card. It's a card that I thought we would have seen more like it up to this point before now. I am surprised we haven't seen any more stained glass versions and cards that look like that.
do you
I
like
love
them
that card.
better do you like them better at $12 than you do the Green Ninja at $4?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm
I think,
opposite.
really? You
Yeah.
think that's, so you'd
I
rather
think-
have, what is that,
I
4,
think
8,
for
12?
the lower entry point, you know, you could, for every one stained glass, you could get 3 Green Ninjas. I mean, there's this modern product. There's a lot of any of this stuff, but I
Of
would go
course,
back.
this is stupid and dumb. So yeah, it's none of this is a good play, but it's fun to talk about. Yeah.
It's all fun to talk about.
No, I think stained glass bird's where it's at, man. I love that. I love the card. I think
So
it's
would
awesome.
you do like $5,000 all in on the stained glass birds and just?
I might do that, and I might do. I mean, I even have a couple of the celebration or not celebrations, Cosmic Eclipse, Pikachu. I love that card.
Pikachu
And
alternative art with red, yes.
I bought that card. I got a couple of them, and I don't buy cards for my personal collection, but I have those in my personal collection. So
Yeah, I made a video a long time on the beginning of my channel just talking about that card.
yeah, I think it's kind of the card that started the whole craze, man. I think I think that really kicked it off and made it do what it does.
It is probably to date the best character card for English. And yeah, there was a Japanese version, and then there was the Red and Pikachu, like the 20th anniversary Japanese promo, like the one that everyone knows, which had Red and Pikachu, but we never saw that, you know, transfer over to English. And I've talked about this before. Japan always gets spoiled. They always get the good Pikachu promos, but
they do.
When it comes to great character cards, I think that was the card everybody like thinks about when you talk about Cosmic Eclipse, even though, yeah, there's like the Charizard and Brexton, you know, the big expensive cards in that set, or like the Lily Full Force trainer card in Cosmic Eclipse. Like, yeah, there's more expensive cards, but when it comes from nostalgic hit, yeah, you you hit the nail on the head with that Pikachu.
Yeah, I think it really is. It's a good one. I think that I really like the Mimikyu too. I think it's super cute and underrated too.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I made a video. I talked about making even a play. Well, not just the Mimikyu character card, but the Mimikyu reverse holo from Cosmic Eclipse. I made a play just on that card for like $1 a piece.
I mean, yeah, stuff like that, and whether it pans out or not, who freaking cares? Like,
Mimikyu is a funny Pokemon. When you think about how many Mimikyu cards really exist, there's not a lot. I mean, yeah, Mimikyu, probably the best Mimikyu card is Lost Thunder, but Mimikyu as a fan favorite Pokemon, there's not a lot of them.
I like the Fairy type promo Mimikyu. I think that card could do something.
Fairy type.
See, again, all this stuff, we're just like, why would I even say that? Well, the people that know why I'm saying that. So, and that's the thing that separates me from and you and other true historic collectors apart from the people that are just here for the ride, you know?
Yeah. And it's the crazy thing about Pokemon too, and especially when it comes to like, the money aspect and the investing aspect, is when you think about how many sets Pokemon has, and I talked about it in other videos. I really need to actually find out the number, but it's like 93, 94 expansions of Pokemon.
It's a lot, yeah.
Even if you were going to spend $1 on each set per month, that's still like $100 a month to spend $1 per set. Like, people don't realize there's a lot out there. And obviously, if you're going to go after a lot of these sets, you're going to go after like chase cards and stuff. So the dollar amount to really go hard in Pokemon is a lot. That's why the newer collectors, I always try to like express to them, like, just sit back a little bit, take a deep breath, because there's a lot out there. It's going to take you a long, long time to hit a lot of your collection goals. And I feel like people, when they got back into the hobby, they just fucking, with a shovel, were just dumping money into the furnace, like making that boiler go for that steamship, like sailing down the ocean. Like, that's how it felt. But there is a lot. And a lot of money you got to spend to really grow your collection long term. I think people forget that.
I think I've said it so many times, just like the amount of money that was spent on Vivid Voltage when it first came out to clear it and wipe it out of every shelf in every Walmart and Target in all stores, and then for the set before that to sell out, and the set before that to sell out, and all those stores to be completely wiped. You're talking months without product on the shelves. People don't understand. People aren't aware just how big this hobby, this collecting, even if it is just short term, how much money is being and being bought up and sold out there. And again, the people that will stick around and for a while still enjoy all this stuff, man. Like, people don't think about that stuff. Or it's a big, big hobby, a big old card game, and a big old bunch of collectors and a bunch of nerds that have nostalgia for the stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because, and I've talked about it now multiple times, and I want to kind of get your opinion on it too. Like,
sure,
people always talk about Pokemon investability, for especially when it comes to modern, like, as a very dangerous route to go. And I mean, I understand all the arguments behind it, but I'm always very interested on why people never talk about sets before Sword and Shield base. I just always find, because when most people think modern, like, we'll talk about investability in 5-year timeline, but when people talk about sets that could be dangerous, they will only go, like, we're almost 2 years, so they'll only go 2 years back, and they won't go 5 years back. And it's like, wait, why won't you guys ever at least even like acknowledge that the end of the Sun and Moon block even exists? Like, why don't you guys even acknowledge those sets?
I say those tag team cards are, somebody somewhere is going to be like, wow, 2 Pokemon on the same card is fucking rare. That's a very unique thing.
Even the promos for tag teams were like,
sure, yeah,
holy cow. I got a for those Venusaur tins, the Venusaur Celebi, like even that promo card was like a home run.
Yeah, I mean, like I think about like the Umbreon and Darkrai and the Deoxys and Espeon cards
Yeah.
that was in the promo box that no one fucking bought. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
when this took off, they all sold out. And that card is
Yeah.
like still to this day like $3 or $4. You don't think 5 years from now people are gonna want that card?
Yeah.
Of those unique arts like that with 2 Pokemon, a
I'm
legendary and an Eevee on one card? Come on.
I'm always I'm always amazed at just the products like tins. I've talked about it. There's the uh, Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon. Obviously, we know the 3 tins that recently came out that have like Evolving Skies, but there was all the GX tins, and there's 2 tag team packs in there, 1 Lost Thunder pack, and 1 Ancient Origin pack. You can literally go on eBay right now and buy that tin for $30 with free shipping. I've
Yeah.
always found it amazing that people don't even realize that packs came in tins in 2019, you know? Like,
Yeah. It's
I'm always,
wild, man.
as long as it doesn't have like a great promo on it, people like will start to ignore products in a way. I'm always like very
Oh,
interested in a lot of
uh,
people's mindsets.
I was breaking down those what was it, the Meowth boxes?
Oh, with the Cosmic Eclipse packs in it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and all
That's like
those
the
things that
last thing I paid over MSRP for. I think I paid like
yeah,
$29.99
I
a
was
while
breaking
back.
those down and selling the packs at them because people were
Yeah.
buying the packs for more than what the box was. And it's just like, this
Yeah.
is
Came with the
what are we
Jumbo
doing here?
Meowth VMAX. It came with the Meowth VMAX, Meowth V. There was, I think it was, 2 Cosmic Eclipse. Lost Thunder was in that, and an Evolutions pack, right?
I don't remember what it.
Uh,
I
I,
think there was evolutions in there actually now.
yeah, it
Yes.
was. I mean, no, yeah, that's the thing too about like the modern market is there's a lot of things you can really break down if you are just trying to do like the day to day, make money. Breaking down some stuff is still a viable option for a lot of products, and people
And
don't really realize
yeah,
that.
and it has been. Yeah.
They don't want to put the legwork into breaking down stuff and selling it that way.
Pokey and Fun just said the Galar partner boxes. I remember at shutdown, I just got like 40 of those boxes in. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with these freaking nobody even liked these Pokemon. And I had
Yeah,
that promo with the Pikachu and the 3 starters from Galar on it. And I was like, I am gonna sit on these for forever. I'm gonna lose my ass. What is happening?
you thought that, huh? I
Yes,
thought that was
absolutely.
I felt like that was a super hot product though.
No, no.
No?
I had those for forever. And that was the same time when those Umbreon tag team things existed too in those boxes. I had
Yeah.
both of those products. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna have these forever. They're gonna sit here forever, and we're all gonna die of COVID anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna have to lose my ass, and this is the thing that's gonna do me in is these stupid boxes.
Yeah.
But,
And then they just exploded on you. Now, when
right.
stuff starts to explode, are your prices already set so it just sells out? Or are you able to like, identify stuff real time and you're able to like play around with prices a little bit?
I mean, it very rarely takes off to that point.
Yeah.
Now we have moved to the existing rule set that we have so that those types of things don't happen. And again,
So
as a store, I'm going to say it again, and people beat me up about it. I got to have this stuff in my store. I got to have product, or else I stop being a store.
yeah.
And again, I see booster boxes, this product, as an ends to a means of getting the things that actually get me my actual profits, which is card singles. People trading singles in of stuff that they don't want and flipping that money right back into sealed product.
So
Every card game does that, and that is where card stores make money. If you
So-
walk out of my store with money, I failed.
yeah. So let me ask you a question now. So I know you try not to deal with graded slabs, but I've talked about grading a lot on this channel, whether it's PSA or CGC or Beckett or GMA or Tree Frog or whatever the hell random Pokemon's thing is, or any of the mom and pop, you put 3 letters together, ABC,
Mhm.
QRX,
Yeah.
grading. What are your thought process when picking up collections like that? Because I know you did make a video where, or maybe you were on somebody's live where you talked about picking up some like random CGC, like I think they were like 7s or 8s, and you said you were pretty much paying like below grading costs. Now, as a LGS's point of view, how do you value the grading company opposed to the actual card? So do you value if I brought up some of these. I just wanted to like ask your opinion of how you would.
Oh yeah, what do we got?
So here we go. Just low grade cards, because you know me, I'm a big Raichu guy.
Okay.
So I got PSA 6
A
Raichu.
6. Ooh, okay.
We got PSA 6 Raichu, or sorry, CGC Raichu
No
Shadowless.
subgrades. Oh my goodness.
No subgrade.
You
There's another.
heathen. What are you doing? Ah.
Here. We could just do this. We could just like flash all the low grade cards. I think low grade cards just make people go absolutely nuts. So let's just do it. So first, SGC 3.5, GMA 4, say like
GMA, yeah, okay. Yeah. 5.5.
5.5, 6.5.
Okay.
Oh wait,
That's an 8. That's a pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's a first edition too.
Hey.
So we got a 5 GMA. I didn't even know that. So 5, 5, 6, 6.5, 6, 6.
Okay.
6. Let's see what else we got. I got so many freaking low grade Raichus because I've been trying to complete my 1 through 10. And then the rest are just higher grade Raichus. But so let me ask you a question. You got a kind.
You don't show off the higher grade ones. You just want to show the low grades.
I don't like showing off like my big chase cards.
Fair. That's fair.
But so somebody walks in, they got these 2. Are you valuing how are you valuing them? Are you valuing them way different, or?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean that's the question, right? I mean, to me, a 6 is like noticeable signs of wear. It's got visible damage. Like shoot, a 5 can have a fold in, or I don't know what's the lowest that a crease can exist for a PS.
Listen,
I don't know.
I don't even know, and I have all these to look at.
Right. I mean, we can talk about subjectability in grading anyways, but we just don't have enough time. Like we could talk about all these things for hours, but
yeah.
Like if a card has a crease in it, that card is damaged. Like it's like from a game store or a card store standpoint, that is not sleeve playable. It is a damaged card. I can't sell it as something that you can put in a sleeve and play because you can feel it through a sleeve. So it's not a playable card. So I'm going to buy your 6 that may potentially have a crease in it at damaged, even though PSA says it's excellent or whatever the heck, good.
I'll try to find a better example. Maybe this will be an easier question. Maybe I'll see if I can find a. Okay, here we go. We'll just compare PSA 8 of Unlimited Raichu versus 8.5 CGC. Yeah. Obviously, CGC being 8.5 half grade higher, which one of these cards do you value more?
PSA.
From an LGS standpoint. Which
PSA.
one?
PSA. Yeah. PSA is more liquid. So I obviously put the turnover is the number one thing I think about when I go and look at a slab. If it's something I know is going to sit there and I'm going to have throughout this whole flood of cards coming back, and I could potentially not sell it. And what if the population doubles in like the next month? We don't know. Like that card price could be destroyed. If I can get my hands on it and then move it quickly, that's all the better.
But I think that's going to be an issue we're going to start running into in the future, where we're going to have a lot of these. Even like I know a lot of people love CGC, but the price right now, even like you said, you value the 8 over the 8.5. Do you ever see a situation where the market actually does value the card, the actual card, opposed to the grade or the grading company? Do you ever see a scenario in which that happens? Because personally, I have come to the conclusion that I never foresee that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went on a little tirade on your last live about graded stuff. the fact that people are out there and saying that card grading is an art form. What are we doing? If you're putting a numeric value on something and grading something,
Yeah.
how is this art? This is supposed to be subjective. Like, this is supposed to be an expert's opinion on the condition of this card. Where does art come into this? I don't understand. What do we?
Yeah.
If I pay somebody to evaluate a card, I don't care what they personally think about that card. You know, it's silly things like that. I understand that there is things that can plus and minus that is not necessarily visible on a card, let's say.
Yeah.
And that there is subjectiveness to grading. I completely understand that. But I think we need to get away from the idea of like, you sent this card in to get it in a slab, to preserve it in its condition. If that number on one card isn't equal to the number on another card, the numbers are pointless. This is all meaningless.
Yeah.
You may as well just put it in a slab and not put a number at all, and just be like, all right, this card is encased and it's going to be in this condition forever, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what value is being added by grading a card?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Like,
Sure.
I come from a very different like thought process, because I've said before, like, obviously SM Pratt says, you know, rare minter better. Obviously, I have three things I say too, but I just say condition, 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 because
Sure.
I'm personally under the impression, like, listen, if you have a great card, if you know it's a high grade, like, for when you get to a certain point in collecting and investing, like, no matter how hard you try to love, like the cards I showed you, like that SGC 3.5, as much as you love the card, like, eventually you're going to get to the point where you're going to want those gem mint 10 cards. And yes, is grading crazy subjective? It is, but I do believe that given enough time, collectors will all eventually make it to the highest end, because anytime you really are trying to do collection goals, it's fair to say a good argument is that the end game for collection goals is the best of the best. So when I think about cards like that, I think about the high grades being like what carries the hobby in for the long term. And especially when it comes to a lot of like the bulk slab era, the junk slab era, whatever people want to call what could be happening, I think what will separate itself in the long term will be those higher grades. So I think people should still try to get those higher grades, but then you also can't ignore the fact that a PSA 9 first edition Charizard, you know, most recent sale on PWCC is a little over 28 grand versus a PSA 10 of the same card, which I would say the average collector couldn't tell the difference. Obviously, from a high end, anyone could, or not anyone, but most people could tell the difference between a PSA 9 and 10. But when you look at the price difference between those two cards, I do believe that sometimes the price difference does separate too much, if that makes any sense. I know that was a long-winded response.
No, and I you know, neither of us is right or wrong, and or the opinion is better than the other. Like, that's, I just think whether you are in it to collect and that you just genuinely want a card protected, you know, like, the value does matter. And like, if you're wanting a card in a slab, you want that in a slab to protect its value. That's what we're doing here. That's what the whole point is, to preserve the card. If that was the case, we'd all just buy, you know, heavily played cards and put them in a binder and be happy, right?
And I think
Is that not the case?
I think a lot of people do that, though. I think
They absolutely do. You're absolutely right. People absolutely do. And I sell heavily played cards all day long to people that just, I just want it for a binder. It's fine.
You know how many times I've gone on eBay and typed in just, I'm a big, I don't, everybody searches eBay differently, but I'm a big search eBay by year. I'll type in I've typed in Pokemon 2003 trying to look for some good Skyridge cards like more times than I could count. That's why I love like EX Dragons and Sandstorm and stuff, just because I bought so many Pokemon 2003 lots. But you know, if I am trying to go after like different eras, I'm just going to type in Pokemon and the year, because a lot of the way I buy cards is I'm hoping the people selling the cards don't even know what set they're from. They just
Sure.
look at the date on the bottom. So that's how I found some of like my better bulk lot deals, is just searching that way. But like, even by doing that, like you definitely get a lot of more well-played cards, especially if you're getting like big bulk lots of like commons, uncommons. But as you, I love bulk lots too and well-played cards, because it gives you the ability to pick those cards up and add them to your collection. And then for your future, you know, collecting goals is to get the more mint copies. But
Sure.
and also to pick up big bulk lots of cards. And I know I've seen your videos, you have, you know, long boxes for days in the back of your store, but by getting bulk cards, even the well-played stuff, it is one of the best ways to really learn the sets, you know?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
you know, especially for like some of the sets that I wasn't around for, I wasn't like opening packs. So like a lot of the diamond and pearl stuff, the stuff that I have started to really enjoy, it's through those bulk lots that I've been able to like start to look at a lot of those cards, or a lot of the heart gold, soul silver era, which doesn't get the respect it deserves.
Sure.
But
There's plenty of cards that I love that are commons.
yeah,
You know, there's just tons of stuff that I'll be going through a collection and be like, man, I don't know if I've ever seen this art before. And I probably have, and
yeah.
I pause for a second. I'm like, man, it's a beautiful card. The art on that is beautiful, you know? And you don't get that experience looking at the same 20 base set hollows, and you're like, I don't get it. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Which is always funny too, like the jungle Eevees and Pikachus and stuff, when those things went crazy. Yeah, I mean, those cards, you get a lot of those in a booster box, you know? Like
yeah.
jungle is a small set. That
Yeah,
is
those tiny sets. Yeah, you get
not
those.
a big set. Like you're gonna crack a booster box, you're gonna get a lot of Eevees, a lot of Pikachus, even like Cubone and like cards that were kind of like
I love base set Cubone.
everyone
It's
does, but
beautiful.
it's still like kind of an outlier type thing. So
Definitely. Yeah.
So I always found it very interesting, like how a lot of those type of cards went pretty crazy when you look at a lot of like counterparts for other sets for the same Pokemon, which are far more rare. Like, I mean, what would you say, like, yeah, black and white is probably a little common, but for, you know, the diamond and pearl stuff, a lot of the EX, the later EX stuff, like more the Nintendo EX stuff, how much of those do you see compared to, you know, your base set Jungle Fossil, Team Rocket, and maybe a couple of the Neos? Like it's got to be, you probably see 10 of those cards versus one of a diamond and pearl set, I'm guessing, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, obviously, in my however many boxes I have back there, it's going to be heavily skewed modern, and then heavily skewed the first like 4 WotC sets.
Yeah.
And everything else in between is so rare. Like it's, you know, impossible to know. But I'm sure that there's, you know, tons of Skyridge stuff in there that somebody bulked out and didn't even know, and you know, probably has value, and probably a lot of value in those boxes that I don't know anything about. But yeah, it's just
Skyridge is probably the set I know, like besides obviously like base set Jungle Fossil.
Sure.
I would say Skyridge is the set I know like next in line, because I've spent so much time, you know, looking at all the cards, and that's just a fun set in general. Like got a couple, like
yeah, I mean, even the sets around that, like Aquapolis and Sandstorm, all those cool sets. I mean, they all had a very unique flavor to them, you know.
But like here's just like a bunch of so I'm a big guy. I like the reverse hollows for Skyridge. Like
Sure,
all
yeah.
these are just cards I'm waiting for PSA to eventually open. So I would say out of this pile, like they're almost all reverse hollow Skyridge cards. But I spend a long time just looking for like high. All right, how's the glare? Can you actually see these?
No, I can see it. I don't know if it'll. I mean, yeah,
Is
it
it-
looks like on the YouTube it's good too, so you're fine.
Yeah. So even like
Magic
everybody
Carp,
loves
cute.
Magna Carta, but I have a lot of like, geez, I have a lot. These are just a few, but like this is one of the sets that I've been acquiring now for probably the longest, just individual cards, and like, and then I got just like, stacks of PSA cards, which this is one of the cards that I talked about on one. I don't know how long you've been watching my channels, but I talked about the Poliwag Reverse Hollow as a PSA Pop 1 and PSA 10.
Yeah,
So
I
listen,
remember. Yeah.
if anybody has this card in PSA 10, please reach out to me after this video. I would love to buy your card. And then, yeah, just here's a funny one, like the Haunter. I don't know if you follow like the PSA Pop reports for Skyridge. It's like one of the weird cards that has like a duplicate listing on the PSA Pop report.
Really?
Like, yeah, so the Haunter is number 63, but there's like two 63s on the Skyridge PSA Pop report. Like, you got to go real deep down the rabbit hole and start,
Weird.
figuring this stuff out. But yeah, like, so what's your favorite vintage set? Or I know you're,
Um, Team Rocket Returns is probably my favorite, like older set.
yeah.
Every single art in that card is a banger. Everything, every single one, and it's like it's totally like Pokemon is super like happy and friendly and cute and cuddly, and obviously the base Team Rocket set is also the same way. But Team Rocket Returns is especially like sinister, evil,
Well,
mean side of Pokemon.
Well,
you know.
EX Team Rocket Returns has, all the dark Pokemon cards, and especially if you like that.
Yeah.
And I think I want to say in my last video I talked about EX Team Rocket Returns is, one of those. Well, there's the two secret rares I talked about in my last video, but the Charmeleon, the box topper for that set, which is considered one of the secret rares, but then the Team Rocket secret rare, the last card of the set, the Here Comes Team Rocket card.
Yeah.
Like, for a secret rare in a set that is not readily being open, like nobody's opening boxes of, Team Rocket Returns. So that Charmeleon, the box topper, like they're not being actively opened. Those cards slid around in those boxes. You're gonna be lucky to find them in like PSA 9 condition. Good luck on PSA 10s.
Yeah, it's just a rare set in general, honestly. Like I see so little of that set, and when I do like see it in a binder that comes in or later, I'm like, oh man, that's Team Rocket Returns. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome set. It's got awesome hollows, and then it's obviously it's got the Treecko, the Torchic, and the Mudkip because it's the first Gold Star set, but coming after Emerald too. So depending on people's thought process before those early Nintendo sets, like I feel like a lot of people are very hit or miss. Like, Ruby Sapphire, okay, EX or EX Dragon, good set. Like I don't think it gets like as much attention as it should. Sandstorm doesn't get the attention it deserves, even though I love the Jolteon in that set. I
love a lot of cards from Sandstorm.
Yeah, the Aerodactyl EX card is that like dark greenish gray color for that Aerodactyl for that EX card is a freaking banger card. Like people, I don't know, I could talk about these sets. It's always funny, like whenever I do lives, I always talk about these earlier EX Nintendo sets.
Yeah.
And then we just never make our way to the end ones. But
yeah, I mean, people just don't understand. Like, if you weren't playing during that time, nobody was collecting this stuff. Nobody like had binders of. Nobody was collecting these sets. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'll be the first to say, like 2003, I was not in Pokemon. 2000, I graduated high school in 2006. Like I was a sophomore in high school. I was trying to get laid and failing miserably at it. But like that's what I was doing.
Hey man, you had different priorities. That's the way it was.
Yeah. So it is funny, like as we grow in the hobby and when you look back on some of these older sets, like there's always like that little person in the back of your head, like, man, I wish I was still buying Pokemon cards. But and I think that's the beautiful thing about Pokemon too, right, Mason, is no one expected what we're seeing to happen the way we're seeing it. I would say that the true Pokemon enthusiasts really always saw like an eventual uptrend of Pokemon, but to see the explosion we saw, I think no one was ready for that.
If you would have said that people wanted prime cards,
Yeah,
of all things, like
yeah.
I had like Mew primes like in like my $2 boxes
Oh yeah.
before this.
People
Like
even like level
I
X
was,
cards before that. Yeah,
yeah, I was trying to, those were the stuff that nobody wanted.
yeah.
And obviously because the population is so low on that stuff and nobody was collecting that stuff. It's yeah, that's stuff that saw the biggest returns because it's compared to the base set and all the stuff that it gets, huge people and talking about it, the kind of stuff, nobody had that stuff. Nobody has that stuff. Nobody has that stuff in good condition either. And that's kind of stuff that, low populations, all that factors into this sort of growth. And it's just like,
Well,
how can you say this is not at least a little bit organic in that the stuff that is truly rare and hard to find actually did see the biggest jumps?
Well, I think it's funny you mentioned prime cards because yeah, there was a lot of shilling for a lot of different products, but I didn't hear a lot of people talking about level X cards and a lot of people talking about primes. Like,
you don't think people were sitting on 1,000 Gengar primes and they're like, hey, now's my time. Finally, let's get this number. Let's pump these numbers.
You know how hard it would have been to sit on 1,000 Gengar primes, man?
I know.
You know how hard that would have been? That would have been like, I bow down to anybody that could have amassed 1,000.
Hey, you're right. I mean, I think the primes are like the most obvious example of just like, you talk all the shit you want about modern and all this people coming into this hobby, but somebody's buying those cards.
Yeah. But no, it's amazing. And I think if, we could talk about level X and we could talk about prime cards and people could start being interested in that, then the growth potential for Pokemon still would just be crazy if, like you said, if there is that demand, because I don't believe a lot of people are talking about it, like you said. I think that is a more
Twice Baked Jake didn't do a video on primes, did he?
I don't know. Did he? If he
I don't
did,
know. I have
then
no
that
idea. I have
kind
no
of
idea.
like that shoots down on everything I said.
I have no idea.
Can you? All right. Let's just. We're not going to shill on anybody. But let's just talk like how much like influence do these type of creators have that Twice Baked Jake could make a video talking about trainer cards being not too collectible or not sought after, and then magically make another video and be like, oh, hey, by the way, guys, I've been adding huge positions of these trainer cards. Look at my trainer card collection, and then the fucking price hits the moon, Like,
I enjoy Twice Baked Jake's content. I just wanted to put it out there. And like I said, I watch Twice Baked Jake. I watch SM Pratt. I watch everybody in between.
Yeah.
It's all an opinion and somebody's adventure in the hobby, and it's all valid. But yeah, I mean, when you look at like full arts, the waifu cards, and like how low the pops, and even like on TCG Player, like the amount of stuff that was available when he was talking about that stuff, it's fairly low. And it's bizarre to me that like there was how many tens of thousands of these full art cards that exist. Why did people did not immediately dump all those cards and like, oh my god, this card went up 10 times what it was and it's just in my binder, I'm just gonna get rid of it?
Well, like
I don't think we saw a lot of that.
Hidden Fates, you made a video talking about the Team Rocket Hidden Fates card, and that card is probably one of the least rare cards of all trainer cards.
I had a stack of those in my case.
Oh, I'm pretty sure everyone does. It's, everybody's opening celebrations with the Professor Oak full art trainer. Like, it's the same thing with that Team Rocket card.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, to make the sheer amount of that product that exists and to move prices on something like that much, and for it to maintain that height, and how people just didn't turn around and be like, oh shit, I got 20 of those in my collection, let me dump those real quick.
Well, I think what happened was we all looked at our collections and we said, holy shit, I got a lot of these things. I need to fucking somehow grade these cards. Oh shit, I have no
Well,
way to grade them.
sure. Yeah.
You know, like, because people, I think when it comes to trainer cards, and especially like the waifus, they weren't worth it to send away for grading.
Nobody, I mean, nobody was grading modern at all
Well,
at the time, you know?
except for, you know, the big chase cards. But yeah, like
Sure.
nobody was grading modern. And
I did not buy, I would turn graded cards away. I didn't buy them.
what was the
before this
best?
year.
What's like you got any like those big purchases, walk through the door and you're just like, shit, I can't believe I turned that down, or I pushed that guy away.
I mean, I always talk about how I like threw a bunch of like the Chrome Tops cards in the trash.
Yeah.
I had like 2 rows of out of a 5-row box, and I was like, why do I have these? No one's gonna ever buy these, and I just threw them in the trash and put like other Pokemon bulk in it. I was like, man.
Listen, I'm not gonna say I haven't thrown them out in the trash, but I definitely like stored some Topps Chrome cards loose in cardboard boxes, and
Sure.
like
Yeah.
very poorly stored those cards, and because they were worthless.
And here we are 3 months later, and they're worthless again. So it's just like
it's
right back to it's like, oh well.
Circle. It's like
I don't feel so bad.
And we're back to where we started.
I don't feel so bad now, so
yeah,
it's fine. But
so
yeah, man.
I don't have the chat open in front of me.
Oh, you don't have it? I've been watching it. Yeah.
I just been watching like the Zoom on YouTube, so I don't know if people have been going crazy in the chat, but if you don't mind just like maybe answering one viewer's question, I just got to run to the bathroom because I've been drinking this entire glass of water the whole time.
Yeah, I can go through the chat. Of course, yeah. I'll keep them
I'll be-
occupied. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Let's see. People talking about prime cards. Jody loves prime cards. Basic trainer does not like primes. He prefers the X's. Poking Fun says Rhymestyle introduced him with a level X and primes. Yeah. Dude, again, you talk about somebody that has some influence, Rhymestyle, and oh, what's the other dude? The Australian dude. I forgot his name. I'm not subscribed to him, so I don't know it. But huge people that have influence on that kind of stuff. Yeah, but yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything that you want us to answer, let me know. There's 68 people watching this right now. This is crazy. I don't know if I know the lives don't normally get this lively. How do we only have 38 upvotes as well? There's 70 of you in this chat, and there's 38 likes. How? I'm offended. I am so offended that we only have half of you that have liked this video. What are you doing? You got 71 people in here.
And I'll do a shameless plug too. If you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button. It helps me out. And especially guys, when you hit the like button, maybe this will put this out to somebody's YouTube homepage who's never seen this channel before, maybe never seen me, maybe never even seen Mason, and will actually enjoy the content, you know, what we're trying to do. So that would help us out a lot. Oh, I see 69 watching. Maybe it would be nice if we could just keep that number at a nice 69.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad people came in and they're sticking around, so they must be enjoying what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Jody asked if my cats eat soft food or hard food. They eat hard food.
Yeah. Is your cat's name Meowth?
I got 4 of them running around back there, so yeah.
Yeah. So you're a big Growlithe guy. You've said that in the past. You have like a favorite.
Oh shoot! Yeah, let me get my Arcanine. Let me see. This is the one like actual like Pokemon thing that I have in my house. I don't have a lot, but I got my Arcanine.
Oh, nice.
He's my boy. He's gonna hang out right there. That's what like I said. I own very few cards and very few Pokemon because you know when I started my business, everything went to business. So yeah.
I don't know. So I guess I don't know about you for time. Like I'm having a great time. It's really going to depend whenever you want to sign off. I know you got work in the morning, right?
Yeah, but you know, I run a game store. It's not like I have to wake up at sunrise.
Okay.
My clientele don't normally get up that early, so you know. I'm
So for the actual playability of the game, do you think you're going to be hosting any in-person events pretty soon, or Are you
No, yeah,
doing anything?
we've been running pre-release stuff.
No.
Fusion Strike just had a pre-release. This is a weird thing because the set's already out and we have a pre-release this weekend, so that probably won't be very interesting. A
Did
lot of people
you do
like
a
to do pre-release.
pre-release for Evolving Skies too, or?
Yeah, yeah, we did. A very small one, and we kind of limited the size of the amount of people, but yeah, we
Have you
did.
ever thought about live streaming something like that, or
Yeah, I've thought about like doing a video of like, people coming and playing. I just worry about people feeling uncomfortable, coming in and playing and
being on camera?
being
That makes
recorded.
sense.
Yeah, I just don't want to do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Because that is
Yeah.
something I like. Honestly, I didn't even know you guys were open for that at this point. I didn't know if like the COVID restrictions or whatever. But yeah, I mean, a video like that would be awesome in the future. To see people actually enjoying the game again.
Yeah, I mean, people that are in my store and actually, coming and buying stuff and having a good time. Yeah, it probably help my perception a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah. So do you have like somebody that's obviously been going to your store for years buying Pokemon products, and like did you like what's your reaction when you see somebody coming in who's been coming in forever, and then the market goes crazy? Like, do you have a more special bond with that type of person versus just the average Joe that walks through the door and you're like, I've never seen you before in my life?
um, we have been fairly fortunate in that the people that have been buying from us for as long as they get it.
Yeah.
They understand. Like it's this is how things are, and that's how it has been. And like I said, we've been lucky in that regard. And has there been people that have been upset? Absolutely. Like, and I understand. Um, it's a hard balance to walk and be, particularly with somebody like me that blew up on YouTube, and there's people out there that are buying things for these prices, and if you walk into my store and you don't want to pay the prices, that's okay. Like that's you're probably making the smart decision in doing so. And you don't have to hate those people or be mad at those people that they're not willing to pay that. I get it. Like we all people can spend their money how they want and not spend their money how they want to, and I understand that's okay. And when things go back to normal, I'll see you when that happens, because I know that you care about my store and that you care that I exist, and you'll be wanting to support me when you feel like you can. I get it.
So when you talk about like prices going back to what they were, when you
Sure.
talk more on like, so I don't know how much vintage product you deal with, especially when it comes to sealed product, if you do have some packs or if you keep any sort of inventory for that type of stuff. But where do you see some more of this vintage stuff? Because I've talked about it now a few times. Like, yes, there's always been a disconnect between the price of sealed product and the actual cards in the set. Like nobody's ever denying that. That's just the most truthful thing ever. But we're really seeing for some products the price disparity between the cards in the set versus the actual price of sealed product really separate hardcore. Do you ever see that retracing back?
Are you telling me that Plasma Freeze doesn't have good cards in it that should warrant those $3,000 box prices? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Or yeah, Emergent Powers. I think I saw Emergent Powers sell for like a $6,000 price tag.
Yeah. I did a video about this too, where it's just like it's not that that product is even particularly rare. It's just that there's so few of this stuff on the market, and that the sellers that do have it, there's no incentive for them to lower the prices. Why? Why would you lower the price? Why would you not? If they had some sort of value that spiked and all those boxes, maybe there was at the beginning of this, I don't know, 10 Plasma Storm boxes, and they were all bouncing around. The way that pricing works, and you can see this stuff on TCU Player Play Out all the time, the lowest prices get bought up first, and then you go to the top, and then you're stuck with like the three dudes that had it priced something stupid, and then that becomes the new lowest price, and then they
Yeah.
stick there and they stay there.
Yeah, I was
That's
trying for a while to add a Power Keepers booster box to my personal collection,
right.
and
And so they
price
all
is
go, and when you
just
go,
like,
if
that's
you had
probably
that box and you went to go sell that product on eBay and you saw those 3 boxes at $3,000, are you gonna put up your box for 800? You know,
no,
it's
you're
just
just gonna keep.
it's yeah, that's just you're gonna continue that on until there's enough competition to where like, well, there's other motivating outside factors pushing on this that's gonna push these prices down. Either people have to get out of it or sell it, they're in a hurry to sell it or whatever.
I
That's how
I hope.
markets work. That's how these things work. Eventually, and it's going to be slow to move because there's so little of those actually listed. But yeah, I think they will eventually. I don't think they're going to crash. There's not enough product, and the number of them aren't out there enough to crash.
Yeah,
But it will be a slow, gradual. Okay, let's lower this $200 to see what happens, kind of
yeah,
thing. And or they'll say, hey, this guy uh, isn't none of these are selling in the past 3 months. Let's move things down. And it's gonna happen. It's just for those things that are super not on the market, it's gonna take a while for them to move.
yeah,
That's just how pricing works. If you have things that are selling and moving very quickly, prices move very quickly. If you don't have a lot of that stuff, it's gonna stay and stagnate and just get stuck, basically. And I think that even through all this, we've seen prices just not move because of that.
yeah. There's definitely been a lot of booster boxes that sat for a while at those higher prices, and you were like, this booster box will never really sell. And
Yeah.
then just one day it freaking happened, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah,
You,
and
you see that one sale, and then you're like, I know what's gonna happen next. And that's like a scary thought.
sure.
And I think a lot of this, like, call it mid-vintage stuff, like, like Majestic Dawn and stuff like that. Like a lot of those booster boxes, we're like, oh boy, like we may never see those things retrace again. So
Yeah, I mean it's interesting again, if this product exists, let's say plasma freeze, just because I brought it up.
well, even like I saw Dark Explorers the other day too. Like
Yeah.
I saw a booster box for sale for stupid prices. And that's
Yeah.
black and whites that no one wants.
If somebody's sitting on a case of these boxes,
Good for them.
sure, but why aren't they dumping them?
Yeah.
Why would they not be like, well, now's my chance to get out? I hit jackpot,
So
but we're
I
not
can
seeing
answer
that. And
I can
so
answer that from my side of my
yeah,
side
I'm
is
interested. Please.
when a lot of these prices, like I've talked about it in products before, like I have a lot of products that I had these, arbitrary price points in my mind that if this thing ever reaches this price, I would sell it. But I think the thought process a lot of us go through as collectors and investors is we see that price point hit and then we go, I can't sell this because now I'll never be able to own it again.
I mean, that's true.
That
Yeah.
is a huge psychological, end of 2020, like I sold off a pretty decent amount of my collection for multiple reasons. Like I thought the market was hot and there was a lot of like opportunities for me to just better myself in general, like drastically, lower my mortgage and do shit like this. But there was a lot of those a lot of those sales that I made when I had that card. I was like, okay, this is the last time I will ever hold this card in my hand and have it be mine. There was definitely like a lot of that psychological aspect. I went through selling, a decent amount of and really it was more the higher end stuff. And yeah, I had some of these cards in duplicate, like raw and stuff, but I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to grade at 10. I'm never going to own this card again.
Sure.
So I definitely understand like the thought process of why people wouldn't want to sell, because I've been there and I'm like I'm still there sort of.
Do you have cards in your collection that you're like, man, this card looks really good, but I don't know if it'd get a 10. So I'm just gonna keep it raw because I don't want because having it in an 8 is gonna be devastating. But you're okay with it being raw.
I got a handful of Neo Discovery cards, which is a great set. It's a small set, but I have a lot of those hollows that aren't worth grading.
Sure.
But And you've seen some of my videos. I don't know have you actually seen the videos where they were like the resealed packs or the Jolteon tins? Those are like my
Yes, I
famous
saw that.
videos. Yeah.
Yes.
So all those cards in those packs are all not PSA worthy.
Right.
So like that's why all those cards are raw. And let me ask you your opinion. Like, do you find the entertainment value of those? And like, what was your first thought when you saw me open the first pack the first time? Where you're like, I see what he's doing here.
Well, okay. I did get a chuckle out of it. And I was like, okay, what's he going on about checking for seals all like for like a straight minute? What's up? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I got the payoff was like, okay, all right, I get it. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I did those because I just wanted people to like understand that if I could film a pack opening more or less on a potato in a way, that
Sure. Yeah.
a content creator, if they wanted to, with like, hardcore, splices and everything, how videos are, just, they try to go for speed, let alone just the full pack opening experience. Like it was very easy to manipulate some of these videos if you wanted to.
Definitely. Sure.
So that's what I was trying to do in that video, and just like give people a little bit like, hey, maybe everything's not as black and white as you think,
See, that's what the luxury of having a channel the size of yours. Whereas like if I try to do something like that,
Everybody's gonna say you resale packs.
I would get, well, I'm never gonna buy anything from him ever because look, if he can do it on a camera once, he can do it for all this stuff. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. One of my videos, I had a pretty large PokeTuber comment in the comment section and said, these packs are fake. There's not an Espeon in Evolving Skies. And I read that comment and I was like, oh my God. First of all, there was 10 Eevees from Jungle before I got to that Espeon. Like, how thick-headed are some people?
What a hero.
I couldn't.
Or they were playing along with. I don't know. Maybe they like meted this and they're just like being
maybe.
super,
You
but
think they joked so hard that I even went over my head, maybe.
I don't know.
Are there any good questions in the chat right now?
Let's see. A lot of guys talking to each other, which is awesome. People hanging out. That's awesome. Let's see what else we got.
I just saw Professor Oak gave us a super chat. Hey, Professor
Oh,
Oak,
shoot. Yeah.
thank you very much. I'm sorry if I don't have the chat open in front of me. I'm looking at it on my phone right now. So
Well, let me see if I can go back up and see if I can.
He said, do you guys think there will be a new type of product soon? We have seen ETBs explode for sealed collections, something aimed at the market maybe. So are ETBs really new? Not really. I wouldn't call ETBs a new product, but can we see like some sort of product?
A new
like
collectible product like that?
I think, in my opinion, like a more collectible sort of product is maybe we'll see more premium type products. Yes, we saw the ultra premium collection in Celebrations. Hidden Fates, there was the ultra premium collection. Dragon Majesty had the super premium collection. Like, I think Pokemon will start to cater a little bit more to the higher end collector who's willing to spend a little bit more money. And I think we'll start to see newer high end premium collections, but I think a lot of them might be one and done's, very similar to like maybe a Marnie milk carton. Like, I don't think we're going to start seeing milk carton type products roll out for the foreseeable future. I think it'll just be more premium collection.
The existence of the milk carton is an anomaly, and I don't know why or how Pokemon settled on that as a thing. It's kind of weird.
It is a weird product. Weird product when you think about it.
It could have been like a waste reduction attempt, maybe. I could see that, where they, instead of making a big giant box with all this plastic in it, they're just like, oh, let's shove it in one of these.
I thought they were trying to do it for the players, honestly, because how important Marnie is for just TCG. Like, give all these people the code cards that they need in order to run Marnies in their deck too.
Yeah. And Marnie is a good playable card. So yeah, definitely. Again, maybe it was one of those products where they're just like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it was a year ago that they thought of this and they're like, oh,
Oh no,
Yeah,
what have we done? We've
right.
created a
It's
monster on
right,
something we were trying to just make an easy product.
right. It kind of backfired. It's kind of silly.
What do you think of more like exclusive products? So yeah, you got like the Pokemon Center ETBs are probably the more famous ones, but we've always had like more like, so right now we have the Charizard premium collections that are just at Walmart, or the
Sure.
Pikachu
Yeah.
Zephyrон premium collections that are available through GameStop, or I guess it doesn't really matter, but like the Celebration Prime collection box, which had, you know, both the Evolution and the Charizard for GameStop. What do you think about those more premium type store exclusive? Do you, I mean, obviously you don't get your opportunity to purchase those because there's just, you know, not the distribute
Yeah.
paths to get to you. But what do you think about those products really? Because you are hardcore on the outside of those.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, and you can see this and talk about this kind of stuff. Like, okay, why do they have like exclusive Funko Pops with particular stores and stuff like that? And what's the benefit? What's gained by that kind of stuff? And then you got to think about, you know, if you want to add chase to something that otherwise there's not really any chase if it was released en masse. But yeah, there's that kind of helps like even give like fake, you know, scarcity to it when it's only at a certain place and only so many, and like you know, only this certain Best Buy has, you know, Best Buy is the only place that has these Funko Pops, or you know, exclusive amiibo, or you know, whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. It's all a part of marketing and kind of getting consumers to spread their money around and think of buying your product in a place that they wouldn't other normalize think to buy your product at.
Yeah,
So
but some of the products I'm talking about, like, you know, Pokemon Center ETBs, like that's the go-to place for Pokemon cards, or the Walmart exclusives, or the
uh,
GameStop exclusives. I feel like those are the go-to places,
in
though.
the before times, nobody was buying booster boxes off of Pokemon Center.
Correct. Well,
They were
they were $143. Like no
exactly,
one's
yeah.
paying that much. Yeah.
So if they made those products and everything was remaining the same, it makes sense, because like, okay, if I'm gonna go buy this Pokemon Center ETB, I'm gonna buy this plushie and this other stuff from the Pokemon Center while I'm there. All this stuff makes sense, obviously, in normal times. So it's a very obvious progression of collectibles, and is big right now, and trying to get your brand and people thinking about your brand in places that they typically don't.
Yeah.
So that's a big motivator. Pokemon definitely doesn't need that right now. I think people are astutely aware where they can and can't buy products, but yeah, all that stuff is just a marketing gimmick to get people to think of and buy things
They're
as much as possible.
coming out with even real weird products like that Target squishy collection box.
I saw those. Yeah, yeah,
That's like the one box I don't own for exclusive products, because I'm like,
yeah. I don't
I
know. I don't know what
you
the
gotta
thought
have
was
it with
there.
some of the stuff.
I don't know. It's a weird product. Definitely. You don't see a lot of you know, you see the little figures, which are cool. A lot of people like figures, but yeah, squishy things
Oh,
and TCGs is kind of a weird, I mean,
but
weird mix.
yeah, but figures in boxes forever. I mean, that's been going on forever.
Yes, I love them. Like
Black and White had a lot of figure collection boxes
mhm,
too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, they
so
were big for a while. Yeah.
what year did you open your store? And when did you
5
start
years
selling
ago.
Pokemon? And you started selling Pokemon right away?
Oh yeah, like Pokemon was like the back of what I started out as,
So
was buying and selling Pokemon. So I
5 years ago, what was still available from distributors? Because
I
5 years ago
think
brings you right to the, you know, end of XY.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think I remember getting Sun and Moon in and being really excited for Rainbow Rares and all that cool stuff starting.
I hate winners, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, at the time we thought they were neat. We didn't know the greatness that we were missing out on. But man, I'm trying to think what the very first set was. probably would have been like, I don't know, I remember getting like Generations and Legendary Collection. Maybe that was the first set that or one of the first ones, was kind of like that era of stuff. So whenever that was.
So Generations was, yeah, end of 2016, kind of like that Steam Siege Evolution era, because it was all that 20th
Yeah,
anniversary time period.
yeah, yeah. So,
Were
and it
you
was fun.
able to still order any of the older black and white sets still from distributors at
Oh,
that time?
probably. Yeah, I don't remember. I definitely kind of fleshed out what we could, a couple sets back, but I don't know how far back we could have went. I mean, what is it? Next Destiny, I think was was probably, as you talk about a set that people say was in distribution for forever.
And what I mean, that's probably the most readily available black and white product is
Right.
Next Gen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't remember. Money was so tight at the time. We didn't go too
Yeah.
deep.
Did you get beat up on Steam Siege at all, or did you guys do okay with that?
See, Steam Siege is at the time was a fairly playable set. Had some good
Playable,
stuff
yeah.
in it. Yeah, collectability sucked, but I was a Play Store. I wasn't a collectible store then. So
So
yeah.
so obviously 2016, Evolutions comes out, just reprint base set, everyone recent reprint of a lot of stuff. But what's your initial like feelings towards that set, knowing what it did at release, knowing that you were sitting on it for a while, saw what booster boxes prices did, and then seeing the stupid, I'll be the first person to tell you, like the
Yeah.
stupid price of $1,000 for an Evolution booster box is like, was everything that was wrong with Pokemon at the height, in my opinion.
I mean, I got a video out there on my channel that talks about the evolution bubble popping when they were $300 a box.
It was overvalued at $300. It was overvalued at.
And then 2 weeks later, it goes, all right, it's $500. What the hell's happening? $600. What is this? What is happening? And again, I say that I had the same box of Evolution sitting on my shelf, opened with loose packs being available for like 6 months. Like nobody, like everybody thought it was cool at first. Obviously,
It was.
oh, it's fun.
It was
fun.
super fun. It
Fun
just got boring.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, all right, that was cool. Nostalgia was injected in my veins, and I'm over it now. I'm ready for the next hot thing.
Well, the thing about Pokemon sets is, yeah, you get really excited for them at release, but eventually, like the supply, dries up, and it just felt that the supply of Evolutions never dried up, and every single product you bought had an Evolution pack in it. Or
it was in a playable community. It was a meme because Evolutions had nothing playable in it, but they kept putting it in stuff for players, like in tins had good playable promos in them, and they'd stick 2 Evolutions packs in there. And it's like, nobody wants this. This isn't playable.
Filler, yeah, you would pass on some tins because you're like, this was full of Evolutions.
Right. And you're like, man,
$20 a pack or whatever they're saying. Oh, it doesn't make
like the Pokeballs things that were just like, all right, this has Evolutions and a Steam Siege pack in it.
First run of the Pokeballs, they had all,
garbage. We were just like, what is happening? Nobody wants this. This is trash.
Now I have like one sealed Pokeball, and I have to literally keep it very separate than all the other Pokeballs that I have because of what's inside of it. Like that's one thing people don't realize too, is that some of these products, like those Pokeballs and stuff, they're just more or less identical, and you don't know what's inside of some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they make Pokeball tins now that look exactly like what that first run did. And you're like, what is no markings, no indication of like what wave it is or what year it was made. It's just like, here's a random Pokeball with cellophane around the center of it. It's just like, man. And they still suck. This product idea still sucks. It's just
because they crunch up the packs too. Like you would never be able to break down Pokeballs and just try to sell packs loose, because people would just be like, what are you trying? What is this?
Right. Yeah. What is this gold pack that got ran over by a truck? What's happened?
Yeah, even like the little tins they make too, like the little 2-pack tins.
I
Like
don't like those either. Yeah.
they crunch the cards in those too.
Yep.
The Celebrations like display box, I think like people are gonna want to collect that as a sealed play just because of like I'll give them this much. They did the artwork right on that.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those random things that was kind of like, oh, this is a product I would never even consider purchasing, but like, oh, this is actually will display nice, but that's kind of a
Sure.
little tangent.
Here, you want to answer this question? Anonymous
Sure.
is in the chat, is saying,
Yep.
is Celebrations the next Evolutions?
That's a good question. I would say Celebrations stands alone. Celebrations, one, it's not a large set. The chase cards are much easier to pull. I think Celebrations is just and I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. Celebrations is a very fun set to open, but
Sure.
people will get burned out on it like in a different way than they did Evolutions, because Evolutions was still, a standard expansion set, so it was still larger, and
Yeah.
your chances of pulling, well, it depends what you consider a chase card in Evolutions, right? Like you can make obviously like there's like the full art cards and stuff that they have,
Sure.
but you
The
can make the
megas, they have
argument
megas in
that
there.
the chase cards are actually like the more vintage hollows.
Yeah.
Like
We think of it now that way. Yeah.
well, that's how I think of it. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. Let me circle back to this. What would you say about that?
Celebrations is weird in that they are the first like 4 card packs that really is not like any other product that we've ever had.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that makes it really weird. And it it was not enough to where they felt like that was enough. So they had to put like other standard packs with them, right? So it's just kind of like,
But
it makes you wonder why they
would have
went
been
that route.
enough to stand on its own, which is weird though.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
as its own, because when you think about 4-pack sets, you think like everybody kind of goes back to Detective Pikachu, like that's the more recent of the
Sure.
4-pack sets, and like
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu had a hollow every card, but it was the movie, and honestly, like the only good cards in there were some of the promos, like the Charizard, what was it, the Charizard Detective File Box or whatever. But then even going back even further to like Dragons Exalted had 5 cards in a pack.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about Dragon
And
Exalted. Yeah.
that's a set no one ever talks about because
Yeah.
again, super small set. Like
Very beautiful set though. It's very beautiful. The hollow.
I mean, all dragon. See, that's a weird thing. Is like dragon Pokemon are just so hot now that I think if they released a Dragon Exalted type of set today, it would do much better.
Well, we had Dragon's Majesty.
Dragon Majesty, yeah.
That was all, a lot of dragon. So
and Dragon Majesty with the Super Premium collection with the full art Dragonite was an awesome card, and especially
that's
I
a
know
hot box. That's a cool looking seal product.
Well, they had 2 good promos in that. What was the other one? It was Articuno. Oh no. Oh my God, I'm spacing on it. This will make me mad. Forget what the other
I don't remember.
promo was in that box.
Dragonite and
what was that?
It was Dragonite.
Yeah, Dragonite was the Rainbow Rare, full art.
I don't know. Chat's gonna.
Yeah, maybe the chat could answer that. I forget what the second promo. Oh, that would drive me nuts. But
I don't remember.
It's sometimes
I didn't get very many of them, so I never had it like in my hands.
They weren't a lot. Those they retailed for like $79.99 at release, and it just was a different time though. Different product. That product, just a different time in the hobby.
Yeah. Rainbow Kingdra, Schrodinger's cat. Thank you.
Kingdra. Thank you. Yep. I knew it wasn't. Yeah. I
say it had been a dragon or something with dragon, so they wouldn't do that. But yeah.
it's it's amazing the evolution the hobby has gone, you know, like, but when you break, so there's obviously this like very distinct evolution of how everything has played out. But when you go back and you look at some of this, like the rollouts are still relatively similar with you get your good promos, you
Yeah.
have your better products, like
Yeah. When you stand back and look at like the last 5 years and you look up and start lining up things, you're like, okay, well, every specialty set had this. And then you look at like Hidden Fates and Shining Fates and even the structure of those sets. And then you go back even further and like, okay, they had Dragon's Majesty, which is kind of like a specialty set. But then before that, they had, the one that had the Shining cards in it. Help.
Shining Legends.
Shining Legends. Yep. All that stuff, you know, it's all had the same kind of feel to the product and the same kind of idea behind it and the same
Shining
kind of,
Legends sat on the shelves forever though.
yeah, sure.
Like, people-
Generations set as well.
Well,
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because this is something that I differ with a lot of people when it comes to Generations. People talk about Generations as being a super hot product right at release and then having a crash. And I've said it now multiple times. I remember Generations very different than everyone else. I don't remember Generations being hard to find.
I don't think it was necessarily. I think it was, God, what year was that? Did I have Generations in store? Yeah, because that would have been 20th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
I probably didn't get enough of it to actually know like the true rarity of it. It was definitely allocated at first very heavily. So I don't remember getting a lot of those boxes with the promo and the pin. I don't remember getting a lot of them. So it was pretty heavily allocated.
Generations is one of those weird products that people really went pretty hard on in 2020 and 2021. I think it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I think people remember because it had that weird like delayed kind of weird release where they had like one product and then they had like other products like a couple weeks later come out, and it's kind of did the staggered product release kind of thing.
But they were all the same type of product too, which
right. Yeah. So at the end of it, you're like, okay, no one fucking cares about this anymore. Like this is they're over it. Like enough generations. I think that kind of like can sometimes feed into too much the other direction where it's just like, okay, we're gonna string this out so everybody gets a chance for it, whereas people were just like, all right, I'm ready to move on 2 months later. You know,
people moved on quickly. I think that's just what happened. It was like, you know, I don't know. It depends how people view Generations, like,
right?
Because you got to keep in mind, Generations was a anniversary set, but at the same time, it was still, you know, kind of coupled with Evolutions, which Pokemon still like calls Evolutions an anniversary set, which even though it's a, you know, a standard set, I still feel like they consider it an anniversary set.
It is definitely a weird set because they printed it for so long. Like obviously, Evolution was printed for so long. Like the amount and how long that distribution had that up until you know summer of 2019. So it's just like, you know, we could all forget the stuff.
Yeah,
It was
and
super
speaking
common
of like multiple
years
ways,
later.
I know everybody loves Hidden Fates. Like, what do you think about Hidden Fates? Because Hidden Fates got a lot of reprints, and including like the last reprint of Hidden Fates was the reprint everyone said wasn't going to happen. Like,
I didn't think it
there's
was
a chance
gonna
Hidden
happen.
Fates gets another reprint. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of impossible. I know a lot of people probably would. At least maybe a reprint of some of the tins, you know, like, you know, the Raichu, Gyarados, Charizard tins. Like, if they did like a small wave of those.
I think again, it kind of that is an anomaly. The wave of Hidden Fates is an anomaly because it doesn't make sense because it was so small. You would have expected to either get blown out and have them print a ton of it, or like, why just print a tiny amount to where they were able to do one little like, well, actually there's like two little ripples of restocks to distribution. It just didn't make, like, why? You know, it's just like, why spend the time and the money to, even move those around the country.
Yeah,
It
it
was
does.
weird.
It does.
It was
It
weird.
doesn't
It was
make any
weird.
sense. And I mean, the weird thing about Hidden Fates too is they could keep. I wonder how much you would literally have to print to just quench all Hidden Fates demand
Hmm.
in general. I think Hidden Fates is one of the most hoarded products out there.
Definitely, I agree.
There's 58 people watching this video. I bet you out of the 58 people, 58 of them have sealed Hidden Fates.
If you have a sealed Jesus, if you have a sealed Hidden Fates product in your collection right now, put a 1 in the chat.
Yeah.
I want to see
Here,
who has anything from Hidden Fates sealed. I'm interested. Yeah.
I'll put it up that it's got to be in like the 60-ish range. But it is interesting to think that there's just so much product that people probably don't realize how much is out there for some of this stuff. And I
Definitely.
wonder what that's going to do in the long term when people start to actually come to grips with the fact of how much really exists.
Yeah, again, like this hobby is the casual market of this hobby. The casual market is so vast. And the likelihood of somebody that just wants to open Pokemon cards just out of the blue, maybe like once every 2 months, 3 months, they just want to open some Pokemon just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Is so vast that I think at any time, like little, like any sort of disruption in distribution could cause a little ripple of things not being available and cause prices to spike. You know.
So
that's a lot of. There's a lot of ones in the chat. That's a lot of ones.
Yeah. So it brings, but when you talk about like little ripples, it brings us right back to like the thing about Pokemon that a lot of people want to talk about is truly how easy Pokemon as a market as a whole is to manipulate.
Sure.
I've told people like in other videos that Pokemon manipulation is a real thing, but that doesn't mean it's always a bad thing. And what I mean by that is once people are able to navigate the Pokemon market and navigate like a lot of this manipulation, you can make a lot of things work for yourself. Like buyout groups is a real thing. Like shilling cards is a real thing. Especially when you start talking about low pop stuff. Like, yeah, we live in the age of 9,000 of each Champion Pass Charizard. We live in the age of 6,000 PSA 10 Darkness Ablaze Charizards. But when you start looking at these lower cards and there's 30, 20, 40 PSA 10s of certain cards from certain sets, like people don't realize that those cards are easily manipulated, but you need to understand how to navigate that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely something that, again, it's such a wide pool of people that are interested in Pokemon, but the people that are wanting to buy and sell, like think of this as like a commodity, is very shallow. And that it doesn't take much for that little supply to diminish. Those 50 sellers on TCG Player to sell out and have the entire the price of the card skyrocket.
Oh, you can do your own. You can do your own buyout sometimes for like $300.
Sure.
I mean, what kind of market can you manipulate for $300? Like people don't realize it doesn't take much.
Sure. Yeah. And like I said, it's at any given time, any card, there's only so many on the market.
Yeah.
And like if people aren't aware and see that kind of stuff and are able to track the movement of this stuff, that's why when TCG Player put that where you can go through the history of the sales history on that.
Yeah, that was huge.
People don't understand, even after like I made a video and other people did videos about it, like that as a tool is huge for seeing price movements and product movements and that kind of stuff move.
Sense,
It's and that's just one seller platform of many big sellers.
Yeah.
And
And I think another thing people don't realize when it comes to like a TCG player is that just because there's X amount of cards listed, that's not a representation of how many of those cards exist.
yeah, not at
So,
all. Like
yeah.
there's so many barriers to TCG player, even just from a casual buyer seller person,
Yeah, because there is a lag time that when there's a buyout that happens, like there is a lag time for people to say, huh, like this card just kind of exploded a little bit. Like let me start and send all my cards to CCG player and have them sell them. It's like, yeah, there's a lag time in that.
yeah. And I could put up a play set of cards and I could have 20 other play sets sitting in the back and like, okay, well shit, let's go.
Yeah.
And it could go and backfire too. So I mean it's yeah, the market is, again, for casuals that don't follow this stuff and they just like out of the blue just want a card, they don't know that it just spiked and the price has got, triple X'd all the way up to being
Well,
expensive. They're just like, okay, well, I guess that's how much it is. All right, cool. And I'm buy it.
and you just summed up all of 2020 in one sentence there. You just summed it up that people just came in, they're not familiar with the previous prices and they just
Yes,
buy it at whatever. That you just
absolutely.
literally summed up 2020.
Yes.
You know,
The guy that came in and bought 13 of my Charizards from base set to everything else and dropped 13 grand. Like, yeah, the dude didn't know shit from apple butter, but he knew Charizards and he bought them.
But the crazy thing is if that same guy just happened to walk through your door two years earlier, he would have done great. He was just 2 years too late to the party. That's all.
Sure. And if he had walked in my doors now, I'd be like, oh shit, I ain't buying these. God damn. So yeah. It's we look at things in little snapshots and without seeing the entire breadth of the rise and fall of prices, it's everything is so short-sighted.
I already said it in this video, like days go by slow, but years go by fast, Mason. It's and I don't think, like me personally, like I understand that you're not as big into the collecting as we are, but I have collection goals that will take years to maybe never be able to be completed.
Yeah.
And especially on the more high end, like I think it takes people a little bit of time to like come to grips with that you can have collection goals that are realistically out of the realm of time.
Yeah. Or just like if I ever get the chance to get it, I'll buy it.
Yes.
But otherwise, it's probably not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like when it does come up, like if you're not in the right financial,
Sure.
Everybody financial is probably like changes year to year or month to month, and like maybe one week you're doing better than another or whatever, and like you get a $3,000 card come up and you're like, shit, I haven't seen this card come up in 3 years, but I don't have the money. I need to liquidate this. I don't have the time. Like it happens quick. And some of the more like sets that I'm trying to complete, when I talked to you early in the video, like there's so many sets that even if you were to spend $1 per set per month, that's $100. Like it's even on, if you have a lot of money, it takes a freaking long time and a lot of money to complete a lot of collection goals. And you still got to sell this whole time.
Yeah. I mean, buying and selling to get to those goals, it all has to happen.
Yeah. A little bit of luck involved too.
Definitely.
A lot of luck involved too.
It can.
And luck is a very subjective term when it comes to this hobby too. Like I think everybody wants to say that anybody that was successful, it was all 100% luck. And I feel like that's a little bit of a disservice to a lot of people to say that it was 100% luck. Like there was some thought that went into a lot of these cards, like when you were spending $200 on a card in 2017, like trust me, you put thought into that card.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
All right, Mason. So I don't know if you have any final thoughts, but I think
that's a good place to end it, unless is anything in the chat we want to talk about, our address, or
I haven't even been looking at the chat. Yeah. Thank you to everybody
yeah.
that tuned in. This was a lot of fun.
No, and what a great little start for. I hope you have other people on. I would love to see you talk to other people.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jake would be happy to have you on. Yeah, you could have a whole little run of little discussions with other people. I think that'd be awesome.
It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I hope everybody in the chat enjoyed this too. So.
No, yeah, and I appreciate you reaching out and offering, and yeah,
I
super fun time.
appreciate you coming on. I can't thank you enough. And if you ever need anything, you have my email. Just feel free to reach out.
For
If you ever
sure.
want to do another conversation too, just let me know.
Hey, I'm not normally doing anything, so
All right.
at night I'm happy to sit and chat for sure.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, Mason. I appreciate it again. I'll catch you guys on the next video.
Bye, guys.